That's it. And it's I personally think Black Panther did more to embarrass black people than it did to empower them. So that whole movie frustrates
they
me.
have like they were like literally spear chucking and
why do they have spears?
It's
like, you know, it's supposed to be, why do they have trial by combat? Why are there fucking like stupid hatches and rhinos and all sorts of nonsense? It's you can't like Predators, for example, is like a mix of the tribal and the sci-fi. That actually makes sense, like the tech that they have. But with Wakanda, it was just stupid, man. You shouldn't be throwing spears.
I think I actually made that point
in
my video on, it might have been Wakanda Forever, it would have been. So like, if I as a white person had written a bunch of black people to be like chucking spears around and making monkey noises, I would rightly be called a racist. Mm-hmm. And if you point out that these things are in the movie, instead you get called a racist for pointing out that someone made that in their movie.
Yeah,
which of us is doing the racism? Also, we're live, by the way, so hi, chat. We were talking about racism, and I figured that you'd like to be in on this conversation because I know you're a bunch of racists. So here we are.
Yeah, it makes a big difference when you actually do it like accurately, rather than just having a black director and then having a bunch of like tribal references that don't make any sense, but then calling anyone who has an issue with it racist. It's such a weak mentality, and it doesn't help anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
there's nothing about Wakanda that you can really celebrate, because I understand in order to introduce them, they had to introduce them as an isolationist state, which would justify why they'd never been seen up until that point. But it also, I don't know, it's hard to celebrate them because they allowed essentially most of Africa to fall into disrepair while they were the most advanced country in the world. And it's like, damn, y'all suck. And they're probably...
It was very funny that the fact that every country around Wakanda is like one of the poorest countries in the history of the world. There's fucking AIDS epidemics, famine, cholera, typhoid, like all the diseases Wakanda has cured, and Wakanda has said, no, fuck you. We're keeping it all to ourselves. You can go die. They're the good guys.
On top of the fact that it wouldn't even remain secret, because they show the poor people waving to them as they fly back into the fucking secret Wakanda portal. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So every aspect of Wakanda,
they colonized 4 other tribes and drove one into the hills.
Oh, I was told. I pointed that out in my Black Panther review. I was told that I was not allowed to use the word colonize in that situation because the tribes were warring. So you don't, and I was like, I don't.
Wait, I'm sorry. So they were warring. So if you're at war with someone, you're allowed to take over their land and territory, because that's just the history of colonization. That's exactly what it is. Fight back, and then it makes. In which case, the British never colonized anywhere because you all fought back. So fuck you. We deserve to be there. Give it back.
I feel like any comments you get on the Black Panther video, like 50% of them you can't take seriously. Like, that was my learning lesson on YouTube too.
Oh yeah.
Well, the funny one was that I got loads of comments on the Wakanda Forever video saying, "Yeah, hi, I actually live in Africa, and I find like African Americans' ideas of what Africa are incredibly cringe and embarrassing." Like, I got more support from people who lived in Africa for shitting on Wakanda than from people in America who, like, because they created it as like, obviously it's wish fulfillment fantasy creation, right? It's like a particular type of,
that's right,
usually like
Coogler
black
to
leftish intellectualism that like this lost fallen kind of utopian vision which never really existed. But it's an interesting little, it provokes a few little thought experiments, does Wakanda. You know, under what circumstances is colonization justified? When is it right to be an ethno state? Are you morally obliged to share resources with poorer parts of the world? And the answer apparently depends, according to Black Panther fans, on what color your skin is, which is just fucking fantastic.
It's ridiculous.
I think the actual box office receipts from Black Panther 2, it skewed so heavy from the domestic box office versus the international, like towards domestic's favor. And so did, by the way, chat, this conversation spurned because I saw Sinners this weekend finally, and which is a Ryan Coogler film, just like Black Panther. And the box office for that has been like 70% domestic and 30% international. And I think it just speaks to the rest of the world not giving a fuck about like black plight in America at all, because that's what both of those films kind of talk about in their own way.
It's culturally contingent, right? So like America, it's kind of understandable that America has that experience because like America was the recipient of a, not even the majority share, but a significant notable share of, you know, black slavery. Obviously it gets imported to the Americas in a way that simply doesn't really happen in the same way across continental Europe. Even the United Kingdom didn't really have it. So it's like, though like the slave trade had many European nations involved in it, they were typically kind of involved as financiers, shippers, all the rest of that, sending it to other places. But we didn't really get like the bulk of the recipient of that trade. So like it's just not that culturally relevant in the same way. Though we do try to make it that way. Like loads of the conversation in the United Kingdom tries to import American race politics over, which is deeply cringe and embarrassing because it's just not culturally relevant in the same way. Like the abolitionist movement in America looked to the abolitionist movement in the UK, because in the UK it was found under common law. I think it was the Somerset decision, basically found that under common law you're not legally allowed to have a slave. Like there is no such concept as slavery under English common law. So by virtue of landing in the United Kingdom, slaves were automatically freed, in which case not many slaves actually landed in the United Kingdom. It's just a very, very different experience, which naturally leads to a different interest. In the same way that like China probably has a whole bunch of wacky Chinese myth-based productions, which will make no sense to anybody outside China, but will do incredibly well there. So kind of American myth-based things.
They don't make movies with the size budgets that we do over here that require international box office takes to make up for a lot of it. And it's not.
It's a little more. It's more feasible for them.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's like American filmmakers think the entire world's going to care about something that's very American, and that's not necessarily true at all.
It's the ego. It's straight up ego. They think everyone should feel the same way they do about almost everything. That's reflected in the movies that they make.
Like, shouldn't you care about the fact that there was slavery in America 200 years ago? China? Don't you care?
I mean, China still has slaves now, so
it's kind of an awkward subject for the Chinese, isn't it? It's like, don't you care about slavery? Yes, we do. We make lots of money from it. Of course, we care about slavery.
They just don't do a good job of depicting the problem. Like, I don't know a single African person that thinks Black Panther did a good job. It's I don't know. It's just empty most of the time when there are movies that explore this issue in an effective way. The 90s was full of them. I just don't know how we've lost the plot so long. So far to the point we've got Black Panther and Wakanda Forever.
It's kind of a cynic said, like, as well, like, there is a place for movies of all kinds on, telling all kinds of stories, but you do have to understand what the difference between a domestic and an internationally oriented film is going to be. Like, if you do want to tell a story like that, making a film like that, you've got to understand it's probably going to be more for a domestic audience, and you should budget accordingly. But if you make these massive films and you assume they'll have massive international take-up, they're probably not gonna, because like most of the world is quite bored of hearing about American race politics, and we don't really want to hear more of it.
They think they can make whatever they want as long as they just shrink the black people on the poster. That's all they got to do. That's
like during a time when most of the MCU movies were like 60 to 65% international box office take to 35 to 40% domestic. Both Black Panther movies skewed a higher percentage in domestic. It was 53% for Black Panther Wakanda Forever for domestic. So only 47% of its money came internationally, which is, it's because these things are so heavily based in like American race politics that no one internationally really gives a fuck. I wonder what the last one or the first movie was too. That was part 2.
It's the fact that they expect
same thing for Black Panther, the original. 700 million of its 1.35 billion came from domestic.
Because I think
like a huge amount of that is from white Americans watching the film, right? Because it is like a cross-cultural thing. It's not just like this is a movie for Black Americans that only Black Americans will watch and like. Like it's received well by a lot of white Americans because it's part of your national story. So it's like that's kind of fair enough. Also, though, probably pays to understand that when that is the case, telling white people not to go and see your movie is not a good idea because they make up the majority of your audience. So of course Wakanda Forever didn't do quite as well as the first one did.
Never understand that. It's crazy. But they have the cultural aspect for the Americans, but then they just throw a mask on them in the poster, and then they have the Marvel aspect for China. Like they still can market it in some way, but it's just kind of scummy, like this and the arrogance to think that it's going to be that successful in foreign markets is just they need to stop. We can't have Black Panther 3 make the same type of mistakes. They need to reel it in.
We can't have Black Panther 3. We don't need it.
We don't need Black Panther 3.
They're gonna do it. They're not gonna let that die. It still makes money.
I want someone to fucking Sparta kick Shuri off a cliff and claim the title of Black Panther. That's got to happen. I really want to see that.
She'd fly
hope
like a
it's Ryan
fucking
Gosling.
rag doll.
Yeah, she's like 80 pounds, bro. Like I don't know what they're thinking with that decision. And you know what sucks? The best character in Black Panther 1 was Shuri. Like when she was T'Challa's little sister, I liked her a lot. She was charming. I liked her with the tech. And then she just slowly degraded into this asshole. And suddenly she's the Black Panther. Made her a know-it-all in Infinity War. And it made her the actual black girl magic in Wakanda forever.
I'm tired of... Sorry, go on.
You saw Sinners obviously this weekend. Were you surprised by the $90 million budget? Because that caught me off guard. I don't know where they spent that money on. That's a $30-40 million movie at most.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Maybe to pay Michael B. Jordan. That's the only thing I can think of, because
he did play two characters, so that's fair enough.
He did a great job too. He's phenomenal.
I want to see it for.
And chat, the movie is a recommendation of mine. It is really good. It's just the reason why the whole conversation of the last 11 minutes has been going is because like, I think Ryan Coogler, the director of Sinners, might be a little bit of a race hustler. And so we started diving into his filmography a little bit and kind of breaking down Sinners. But that is in the slides, so we can chat about it when we get to it. But it is still a good movie.
It would be funny if you're a white guy and you try to order a ticket, but you've got a whisper going, "1 ticket for Sinners." And every black guy just turns around and sees you.
Oh man,
I'm not. I guess I am figuring it out now, because like fool me once, right? I saw Black Panther, of course. So, but yeah, by the time we got to a third movie, and I'm like, I wonder if he has this fantasy of killing a bunch of white people. Like once it got to that,
what's your what would you describe the difference between Sinners and Black Panther in terms of effectively, achieving this goal, the race baiting? Because you said it was better than Black Panther.
Well,
and they both are clear race baiting movies. Yeah.
Well, isn't Sinners based on a book? Is that right, Niet?
I'm not aware that it's based on a book, but
okay. Well, so I guess the difference would be then that Ryan Coogler chose this, and he chose this time period so that you could have like openly racist characters, and then you can effectively murder those very racist characters. So it just, I'm like I was saying behind the scenes, it's like you can have plausible deniability. Like, well, of course you're killing a bunch of KKK members, but you chose to do this movie in this period of time. It's I can't prove it, but I get a feeling.
It's kind of strange as well, because the racist characters don't factor into the story that much. There's the guy who sells the smokestack twins the slaughterhouse for their party. He's only in like, I think, a minute of screen time, and there's no other racist characters till the very, very end when he brings the KKK back in. Because as I was saying about Remy the vampire, he's not really a racist character at all. If anything, he wants to celebrate their culture and integrate that into his clan. So it is weird, because the movie would have worked fine without the KKK being
didn't
involved
need
in
that
it.
at all. Yeah.
So
is
they
that why
basically
you think
incorporated it? Is
tack
that what
on?
you're saying? Yeah. Okay. Now I'm getting your.
So
They
so that's
basically
the reason, do you think?
took advantage of the
Sorry.
setting. No, I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, you
Because
know
of the
how
setting
in Django Unchained, it was very satisfying when he went back to the house at the end and like at the very end and killed everybody. That was super satisfying, right? Because it was like, it was hyper necessary to the story. It was very, very necessary. He was a former slave. You know what I mean? It absolutely needed to take place. And then you as an audience member, white, black, whatever you were, you're like super satisfied with it. This kind of doesn't need to be there at all, but it sure exists.
You answered my question without me even having to ask it.
Well, the KKK in Sinners haven't done anything to them at all throughout the story. And they appear at the end to wipe them out, whereas in Django Unchained, everybody that he kills was somehow responsible in either killing his friend or capturing Brunhilde and all of the other black slaves. So yeah, it is much more satisfying, because they earned their punishment, whereas the KKK aren't part of the story in Sinners. It was really weird.
So it felt more like a political statement than a personal vendetta from the character.
Yeah, it was
Felt like a
setup.
personal vendetta from the
Coogler.
director.
Coogler, yeah.
It's like basically him taking advantage of the setting to incorporate that little message that he wanted to slide in. Where
Yeah.
my question was, the Django would be an example. Django Unchained is an example of a movie that actually does it well. Like from your
Mhm.
perspective too, right? And that's all I want for movies. Like if you're gonna make a movie that's culturally focused, it needs to work for everybody. It can't be just like, oh, you have to be black to understand this. It just that's not storytelling. It's not balanced.
Well, to be fair to Coogler, the movie isn't really about racism at all. It's more about celebrating the blues and how it's a form of spirituality
is
for the characters.
Dubious thing in and of itself, since I love the blues. I've been listening to blues for like 25 years. It's what I play on guitar. I'm a massive fan. So I'm like, when I was watching it, I felt like even the kind of blues music they were playing wasn't even of the correct period. I thought that was weird. I was like, this music is beyond, like, I know what blues music was being played during that time, and it wasn't this. This is like almost too advanced. I was like, this is like another 10 years from now.
You're not allowed to say that. You're a colonizer. How dare
How
you
dare
tell
you.
them what blues music they should be playing?
Well, it's been said. But yeah, even I thought that was a little strange. I'm like, this blues music is not 1932. This is later. But whatever, I guess. What do I know? I'm white.
Exactly. Do you think Sammy in particular, playing blues music that has yet to come into fruition is just symbolic of how blues music was transcending time? Because we do get that one shot where he's playing blues and you get to see artists across the generations appear in that vivid dream sequence.
Yeah, and like you can totally go that route and say that. Yeah, but I felt like that isn't even necessary, because the music that was coming out during that time period was fucking phenomenal. Like, you had Robert Johnson that had just come out with his one album like 5 years prior to the setting of the film. So there's absolutely no reason to like take a step forward with that. He could have played that style of blues and it would have slapped in that movie. Honestly, because like Robert Johnson's one of my favorite musicians of all time, and he released one album in I think it was like 1927. So yeah, I thought it was unnecessary, but you could say that, and yet that since that really amazing, it is an amazing scene when music through all the generations start coming through. I really like that. Again, I do recommend the movie. It's just, maybe think some things.
Just switch off at the KKK scene.
Yeah.
But it's part of the reason why having these messages just being shoved into a movie is frustrating, because it just interrupts the experience. You like the movie, but you can't ignore these moments. And the next time if you ever rewatch it, it's probably going to be even more glaring to you. You'll probably notice other things, right? And that's just part of the reason we nitpick these things in the first place. It's just it comes out.
Well, yeah,
Like
the whole notion of the KKK is just Ryan Coogler trying to get people to agree that the KKK are bad, and it's like, well, that's a superfluous like argument, because no shit, like why is it in your movie though? Like,
well, at least they can try to justify it based on the setting, but then you have things like the Batman, where Catwoman just has that random white privilege line out of nowhere. And it's like, that wasn't set up in any way. That's just clearly the director just grabbed her and forced her to do that line. I can't stand moments like that, because it just takes you out of the movie,
Well, that takes care of the slide that is in here about Sinners. So that works. We do have a ton of super chats. If before we really get started, if I could go through these, maybe change it up and answer you guys as you're sending them in, because I see a bunch and I really appreciate it. So Spectre's Nepotism says, the reason why The Last of Us 2 did not change the story is, why should they? The critics love the game. It swept the 2020 Game Awards, won every award. That's probably their thought process, because they live in a bubble. So.
As against that, though, it also didn't sell half the number of The Last of Us 1, and there's a reason there is no The Last of Us 3. So from a studio's perspective, critical reception is great, but also critical reception is not known to be entirely accurate 100% of the time, and sales are quite important when you want people to actually show up and watch your show.
We would definitely have a third one if it was as successful as they said it is. Like, that doesn't make any
Well, he
sense.
said that, didn't he? He said he had ideas for where number 3 was going, and then after everyone spat on him for 2 years,
Yeah.
he then went, "Oh, I've got no more ideas."
I'm so glad that they didn't, because I mean, fucking The Last of Us 2 isn't going anywhere. The series, that is. We've got like 6 episodes of that now, and like the last episode was probably the nicest episode, and it went back in time in order to be nice. So there is no story to tell.
That's pathetic. I tapped out
Yeah.
after Joel. I'm done.
Wonder Girl 108 sent in $50. Thank you. Platoon, I swear by Lucifer's shining wings, if you don't stop giving me the female equivalent of blue balls with your Minecraft movie video, I'm going to scream, and not in a good way. Please don't make me go watch the movie myself.
It should be done this week. I apologize. Yeah, it's been a manic month basically. Because yeah, obviously we're double dipping on EVAPs every weekend at the moment, and a bunch of other recording stuff and a bunch of other real life stuff. It is nearly done. I just need to finish it off, but it should be out at some point this week.
I love how you guys remind me every Monday that movie exists. Like,
I know.
Well, I
Chicken
learned that
jockey.
Wonder Girl is a boy because girls don't get blue balls.
She said the
they get
female
blue-
equivalent of blue balls.
Blue
Oh, I
ovaries.
wasn't reading.
Oh.
What the hell's that mean then?
What is
See.
it? What is a female equivalent of blue
Female
balls? It's like green
Blue
vag or
ovaries.
something.
Soppy
Green
vagina.
Jesus Christ.
Purple pussy. Like, I don't know. I'm sure girls have had this conversation 100%. Definitely this conversation has happened.
Give my shot for a California 10. Happy Victoria Day, first ruler of the Dominion of Canada in 1867. Moved the capital to Ottawa and helped stabilize the nation after the French were put in their proper place by her predecessor. GSK.
God save the king
King?
would be my guess. I don't know. Canadian royalist though. Nice to see.
Hasn't the king got fat fingers?
Yes.
Yes, he has sausage
famously.
fingers. I showed this to Platoon. He didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know about this. I'd never noticed his hands before, but then Siddiq showed me a picture of these fucking weird, like, uncooked sausages. They're
Vienna
horrible.
sausages.
Well, that's my knowledge of royalty gone.
TGV Monster. By the way, hi everyone. This is my Friday. Well, hello.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday indeed. TGV Monster again. Found out what happened to the Council of Kangs. In a mid-credit scene, they were all arrested for domestic battery, went full prodigy on their girlfriends. Oh. Were the Kangs seen being chased down the street, though, by their girlfriends?
I feel like more people need to know that footage exists. It's so funny.
It is. It literally is funny.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's super funny to watch.
And it doesn't need any memes or like edits or anything. You just watch it and it's hilarious in itself.
Yeah. TGV Monster again. Iron Man stole Tony's place, name, and identity, and probably the tech for her suit. You want to know who else did that? Batwoman.
Oh my god, yeah, you're right.
I
Why
so
have I never
hope that
connected
Ironheart is like even a tenth as cringe as Batwoman, and it'll be
Yes.
amazing. I really hope that's
Please.
true. Because even the trailer suggests it's going to be quite cringe, right? That whole "I want to make something iconic" line, and what she's done is she's made a knockoff version of a 2008 character. Well done.
Can't believe it.
Toivo, he chimes in here with next BSUP will be the nicest show in the universe, probably. The nicest, maybe.
Maybe it depends. What
No,
comes
it
out?
won't.
No, probably not.
It's
Actually, no.
Monday.
It's Monday and
Everything's
Reaper's here.
shit.
Yeah, Reaper's here every Monday now. It's not going to be.
I'll be sick one day.
Potato says, you guys have something like a Discord or similar? I know Platoon mentioned maybe setting one up in an early ROP episode.
If you've been with this channel long enough, you should know by now that whenever I say I have plans to do a thing, chances are that thing will be at least 2 years delayed, and it might never happen. But one day it might. I don't know. I never got around to it. I have not had the time or the inclination or the knowledge base to actually set that thing up. But
yeah. I think it took us a year to start this show, which was really just getting on camera together and talking. It wasn't like some big prep. So,
But you want to go in and do it correctly, man. Like I've been the same way. I've been procrastinating on my podcast for like fucking a year and a half, it feels like. Because you just want to make sure you're fully committed and organized and have your ideas down. And yeah, but when the moment comes, right?
Hemorrhoid hurts. No gym, so you get to enjoy me the entire stream. Yay.
Yay.
I went to the gym today before the show. Gotcha. You could have done that too. You got to get it in every day. Every fucking day. Hemorrhoid again. I wanted to like Black Panther, but alas, it was shit.
True.
Not wrong. The Hispanic Alucard, finally catching live. Never thought a comment from Platoon could make me question myself. Speaking of which, Platoon, please say, what did the film mean by this in your sultry audiobook voice?
Which video is that from? I know I did that a load of times in a video. I can't remember which fucking video it was. Anyway, what did the film mean by this?
He's questioning his sexuality right now. Ministry of Dinosaurs says, I have something to say in defense of Thunderbolts. The reason why the power for the anti-ghost tech was inside the incinerator room is that the sonic thingy was to keep people like Ghost out, not in. It's a vault, not a cage.
Then why was it pointed inside?
Yeah. Well, she sent them there to die. It was to keep her in the vault so that she would die.
Oh,
yeah. Because she
logic.
get in with no problem. If it was designed to keep her out, it would have been easy. She could never have got in to begin with. But because the premise of that scene is that they have all been baited there to die in that room, so that the thing has to be designed to keep her in, not out. In which case, yeah, the power system being inside the room it's designed to keep her in is fucking retarded, but it's very funny.
We got a few more chats here I'll get through, and then we can get into the actual topics. A half hour into the show, we'll get into the topics. Realistic Delinquent says Wakanda is a xenophobic, isolationist, warlike, patriarchal monarchy with a might makes right body politic and a single resource economy. North Korea?
Pretty much.
Yeah, but North Korea's more fun.
Yeah, North Korea is crazy.
The MCU could do some really fun things with like a North Korean superhero. I think they should do that.
I'd really North Korea would be fucking
wild. They're not touching that. They're not touching that. You crazy?
Have them speak broken English. Go, oh, hello. I'm North Korean.
Isn't Kim Jong like a god in their eyes? He's already
they have this weird system.
Yeah,
so like the leaders don't ever die. So Kim Il-sung is still technically the head of state, and then Kim Jong-il is the head of the party still, I think. And Kim Jong-un is the supreme leader of the state, something like that. But like technically, yeah, in Juche weird sort of pseudo-religious philosophy, the leaders never quite die. I think Christopher Hitchens called it a necrocracy, which is quite a good word for it.
Necrocracy.
What do they bring his body out and have him point? Some puppeteer just moves him.
Well, this is why I think the MCU should do it, because he could literally come back to life. And then he could be like Galactus or something.
Lance says, maybe Ryan Coogler can make a movie with the materials that his own people made, but then at best he'd be making a stage play, though. Could it be called a stage if they don't even have finished wood? Oof. Brutal.
That was salty.
Salty, indeed. Yeah, that's a salty comment. David Smart says, Hail of the Fellowship and Final Destination was good. It was stupid and fun. I saw that this weekend. I saw 3 movies on Saturday. I just did a triple feature. Went 1, 2, and then the third one at 7 o'clock. And Final Destination was in that. No, wait. I saw fucking. Yeah, I take that back. I saw like 5 movies this weekend. I saw 3 in one day, and then Final Destination the day before.
What do you think of it?
I thought it was ridiculous, but it was a good Final Destination movie, if that means anything to you. Like, if you enjoy that series, you will like this one. It doesn't have any characters that matter at all, just like any good slasher movie.
No theme.
Yeah, but the series
No
barely has
storyline.
one good movie. Like the first one has iconic scenes, but the movie isn't that good, and the rest of them are shit.
I
So
think
I'm wondering what this one's like.
I think Niet made a good point last night on his show about the use of CGI now has kind of ruined a lot of the, like, you don't have a lot of memorable kills anymore. Like, they were still fun kills, but you don't have any memorable ones because they're not using practical effects. It all just kind of blends together at this point because of CGI use.
Yeah.
Well,
But I don't think it's
it lends
just that.
itself.
I think. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, it lends itself to the absurdist nature of the deaths, whereas before we took it seriously because of the practical effects. You have a visceral reaction to when people die. Because it's all CGI in these new movies, especially Bloodlines, there's a detachment that occurs, and you know all of it is fake, and plus the characters aren't really characters to begin with, so there's no emotional investment in their deaths. So it is a fun movie if you like Final Destination, but it's very empty. One positive thing I'll say about it is it does try to add something to the mythology. It also tries to connect all of the films together, but beyond that, it's not a great film, but it's doing spectacular at the box office, which is really surprising.
This is crazy.
It at least has the balls to be a straight up snuff film, so it's got the balls for that.
Well, I think the deaths in the previous films, they tapped into stuff you do every day, like the elevator. The guy gets his head caught in and chopped off. The log. I remember after Final Destination 2 came out, people were wary to drive behind a big log truck.
I still am.
You still are.
Me too.
I
still am.
That's his biggest legacy. The fact that people have traumatized. And I think the fact that it traumatized like millions of people is such an achievement.
That movie did for log trucks what Jaws did for the water.
Yes, 100%. And it's.
I think that's what made the old ones good because they tapped into stuff that you do every day. So everyone is like, oh, when you get into the elevator, everyone's kind of. I remember people used to come in very quickly, used to do a quick hop into the elevator so it couldn't crush on your neck.
But there's nothing quite like that in this new movie. Like, one of the deaths is
the MRI machine.
Well, I mean, it was a bit of a stretch the way it sort of just amps its power up. But in this one, there's a person operating a leaf blower that blows wind into the eyes of children playing soccer. The kids playing soccer kick a soccer ball into a woman. She falls into a bin, and then she's picked up and
it's crushed. A Rube Goldberg death, dude.
It's just bizarre.
That sounds like a parody. Like, that's what I mean. They've turned it into this like
phone it in.
What do you mean?
I was going to say Death phones it in at the very end because you think they survive, and then Death just goes, fuck it, train derailment, logs, trucks.
He throws the bathroom sink at him, man.
He just starts cheating. Like, okay, that's where it gets lame. Because it seems that
he can't kill. Like he can't kill this one woman all movie. He can't kill her. He's doing all these little stupid tricks. 50 years he can't kill her. And yet, for some reason, she goes, oh yeah, I just got cancer. And I'm like, wait, can Death just do that? Can Death just give you like a stroke?
Not only that, but the only thing keeping all the characters alive, because they're connected by the inciting event at the beginning of the film, Death is doing it in chronological order. So he's trying to kill this like 75-year-old woman and just can't do it. And to prove a point that this whole thing's real, she dies and sets off death for everyone else just to prove a fucking point. If she had stayed alive, death wouldn't have come for them until ultimately cancer took her. But she's just like, well, fuck you, and just takes, I don't even remember, something right to the fucking face and blows half her head off.
It's a weather vane. It's kind of bizarre because Death is reframed from like a petty dickhead who's salty that people have survived into this cosmic bookkeeper, which is an interesting concept. And you've got this main character who has a premonition in the 60s and she survives. And as a result, she saves everybody there. And Death is trying to get back. And in the Final Destination movies, he kills you in the order that you die in the premonition. And she was last to die. So her entire bloodline has been safe because she's kept herself in the cabin. And if she continued to do so, there would be no movie. But she decides to step out of the cabin to prove, as Cynic said, to prove the point that Death is after them. And as a result, her entire family bloodline is eviscerated throughout the movie. It's so retarded.
It's ridiculous.
Death changed the rules because he tries to kill you. If he fails, he moves on to the next person. But for some
he's supposed
reason,
to
he just
skip you.
stays on this 50-year-old woman forever.
So they just
He's
changed
just
the
like,
rules every
why won't
movie.
you die?
This is the point you made earlier. I really like, because the simplicity of the first movie is what made it so effective. Because these are the things that you're going to go through every single day, and just now it's been turned into what's the most complex death we can possibly think of. This most elaborate death, and it's lost the potency. It's not realistic at all anymore, and it's also not scary because of that.
And as Nihat said, it's the CGI. You're
Yeah.
very well aware that it's a bunch of animated shit happening. Like
It's
when she
both.
gets the weather vane to the back of the head, her jaw's like falling off. It's over the top and the gore.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah. And it's weird because it looks good, but it also doesn't at the same time because it's so clearly fake. Something you just don't get if you don't have practical effects.
Yeah, it's super polished. I will say that the rules of death are kept consistent, because the only way that death can skip you based on the previous films is if, one, you kill somebody and steal their time, he'll skip you, and two, if new life comes in, so if you give birth when you're supposed to be killed, it'll skip you. So there's a few very like strong rules throughout the series that are maintained. Yeah.
That's good to see.
So too much logic being applied, as Dave said, to these movies. We can't be analyzing Final Destination movies.
That's what
Doesn't
sucks.
work.
People have been conditioned to not actually analyze horror movies logically, when it shouldn't be the case. The best horror movies of all time are all logical. I hate it.
It's because it's like banging your head against the wall. It's not getting you anywhere because they're still going to make these fucking movies.
No. When it comes to these
they're
movies,
not going to make them smart.
But when it comes to these movies, I totally get that. You can't really take them too seriously because they're not taking them seriously. But the fact that people treat horror movies, period, not just Final Destination movies, they treat them all horror movies that way. And it sucks because it's my favorite genre. And there's so much you can do with it if you take it seriously. And all the best ones, they take themselves seriously.
All the really good ones take themselves seriously, and they are like self-serious. They have like there's thought that goes into them. They're quite meticulously crafted. They understand like the psychology of what they're playing with. But like my impression, I'm not that familiar with the Final Destination films, but my impression of those, and with a lot of modern horror stuff, is that they're kind of like the Minecraft movie for a niche audience, in the sense that the enjoyment people get is kind of memeing about how stupid they are, as opposed to, oh, this is really genuinely horrifying or terrifying. It's just that was a funny death.
Shocking
Also,
death.
chicken jockey, etc. I don't know.
You literally show up. You might see some boobs. You might see some crazy deaths. It won't last that long, and then you're out. 90 minutes. But like, it's a really efficient model.
I saw a clown in a cornfield as well. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one, but it's also a new slasher movie, and that was atrocious. That was awful. I don't necessarily want my money back because I think it was, I don't know, I guess it did its job because I was laughing at it, but I think it kind of wanted me to laugh at it.
You really have to be intelligent to pull off slashers, man. Like it's most slashers, especially when it comes to horror, are terrible. It's really, really hard to find a proper
almost like part of the genre. You have to be terrible.
But again, you can some people consider Predator a slasher, and I would say it's one of the best if you consider it a slasher. You know, like
Halloween, the original.
Yeah, a lot of people. I love the first Jeepers Creepers because there's an actual concept, a design to the creature. There's rules, but then they just lose their mind most of the time, and just a bunch of stupid teenagers tripping over shit.
We have a few more super chats, and I swear we'll get into the slides. Where to Wander. Hello, panel. Will any of y'all be doing an Andor season 2 review and or a series retrospective? Can we get a quick preview or initial thoughts? Thank you.
Well, I mean, if you want a quick preview or initial thoughts, over the last 2 weeks, I think we spent 26 hours breaking it down on EFAP. So there's a quick preview for you. Covers most of it. I would like to do something for season 2 because I think it deserves it. It'll be a nice break from the monotonous shite that we're otherwise getting. So theoretically, yes. I don't know exactly what the time frame for it would be, and I don't know how it's going to be structured yet. And it might not be like the super long form thing because we've just done that. But yeah, I'd like to do something for it.
Nick Tomato, it's Monday here in Switzerland. Well, It's Monday here.
It's Monday everywhere.
It's Monday most places, I think.
It's actually Tuesday here because I'm in the future.
Oh, there's
Oh, yeah,
always
you're in the
one.
future.
Oh,
It would have to
boom.
be different.
Got us.
How is this for a 6 a.m. chat, Nyat?
Very lively.
All right, good. Toivo says nicest because it's 69. I don't remember what this is in reference to, but
Oh, episodes. No, he said that next week's will be the nicest BSUP.
oh,
I guess is next week 60. It must be. Yeah, it is. It's 69. We're 69ing next
69.
week, folks.
oh,
Tune in for
nice.
that. I don't know how it
Hooray!
will work when there's 5 of us, but somehow we'll make it.
Human centipede that shit somehow. James Busher says, would you rather be first versus the gorilla or last with Bonnie Blue? I saw this meme.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw
Yeah.
it. Basically, do you want to die
Yeah.
or get sloppy seconds? Like,
Yeah, do you want to get sloppy 2000s? Or
jeez.
Covered
Oh,
in
God.
ectoplasm.
Oh, jeez, just goo, goo everywhere.
She looks like a snowman, a droopy snowman by the end.
I'd rather be first against the gorilla because at least you'd be remembered, you know?
Jeez, yeah, you'll be a legend. You'll build statues
Yeah.
to your ass.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't,
I'll get that
wouldn't
Kim
be a
Jong-un
legend.
statue.
People would be horrified as your arms pulled off and you're screaming. Everyone tries to run out the arena.
Dante Gray 1. Finally watching The Office US. The constant gag with the awkward white man trying to participate with other cultures and he shouldn't gets tired. Well, at the time, it was hilarious. Michael was funny.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched that in a long time, so I don't know if it holds up anymore. Oh. I know reflecting back on it now on a lot of things Jim did, I'm like, that guy's actually a fucking dickhead.
Yeah. Dwight was a good character. Jim was an
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah, and Jim was an asshole. Dwight like probably had autism and he was picking on an autistic guy like for 8 seasons.
You
Stole this
assume-
guy's girl. He's just an asshole. Juggy Wuggy, the woman equivalent of blue balls is blue walls.
I personally
So what does
prefer
that mean? A
purple pussy.
frosty pussy?
What was yours, Jedi?
Purple pussy. I think that
that's
they need their own color for sure.
Does that mean when you stick it in, your dick falls off from the cold?
You don't know what blue balls are?
No, I'm just saying blue walls, they must be ice cold.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Richard Chaff, the grandma's house was way too spiky and rusty for someone who is afraid of death. Does no one remember the tetanus scene in the survival room? I thought of that as well. I was like, there are all kinds of ways for her to die in here.
I brought that up
She's
in
got a
my
lake,
breakdown.
spikes.
She's got everything.
Sorry,
Her
go on.
house, her cabin is basically a death pit. Everything
Yeah.
that can and will kill you essentially will. And I look back at like Final Destination 2, Clear, when she knows that death is after her, she locks herself in a padded room. I'm like, why didn't the grandma just do that?
Well,
Yeah.
because she suspended a plant pot by a rope, which is obviously going to fall. She did that so at the very end of the film, that could just blow up the house.
Doesn't the first one have the scene where the guy goes up to the cabin and he makes sure the whole place is like death proof? Like, don't you have to keep
He
that logic
sellotapes
going
everything.
throughout it? You know, like you just pretty much nerfed the whole room. And there was like even a moment where the door tried to open. He's like, "Oh, nice try, death." Like he was ready. You can't abandon that logic after the first movie.
The grandma tries to do that, and I think what they were going for was that she'd set all of these death traps so that she'd be in control of how death might kill her, and she'd always be able to be one step ahead. But that's retarded.
Especially when she has psychic visions. Like no one else in the story does. They're kind of going off her book, which is just full of descriptions. But she doesn't see, like, she doesn't fucking know that her granddaughter was going to show up and get a spike through the head.
Yeah, they know what they need for the plot, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, super chats are never going to stop rolling in, so we'll
Yeah, I
never
was
get to
just
the
thinking-
topics.
Yeah.
I'll just move on to the topics now. I'll get to you guys, I swear. We get to them all always. So The first topic was Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning is coming out for most people this weekend. I know some of you yet have already seen it. It debuted with an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's fallen to 81 at this point, but that's probably where it's going to stay hovering around, which is I was kind of surprised by that because everything I heard about it up front was that it was terrible. And then the official reviews started dropping, and it's getting better than what I was seeing anyway. So, yeah, what did you think of this movie since you saw it?
I'll start off with the positives. The stunts are phenomenal. Ethan Hunt is still great, but man, this story has a lot of holes. I had a lot of issues with.
Just to pause you, that you just said I'll start off with the positives, and you listed 2 things.
Yep.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Carry on.
Dead Reckoning had a lot of issues. I mentioned this yesterday on FCE Live. Like having an AI antagonist is generally not a good way to go because the measure of a good antagonist is how they complement and challenge the protagonist, and that makes the story interesting, right? And the AI antagonist can simultaneously predict everything and cannot be surprised, yet often is by what Ethan does. There's a lot of exposition in this movie. The intro doesn't come in till like 40 minutes into the film, and there's still 2.5 hours of movie left. This movie is way too fucking long. It's very bloated. The plot is very convoluted. They've turned the AI antagonist, the entity, into Skynet, essentially, with it wanting to, take over all the nuclear sites. But it doesn't have a motivation for wanting to do that. So it's just... There's character development takes a major backseat. None of the characters are very interesting. I mentioned that Ilsa Faust died in the previous film. She was one of the more exciting characters. I liked her more than Benji and Luther. And I thought with her dead that Benji and Luther would be, driving the plot with Ethan, but they don't. They're sort of sidelined in favor of these new characters that we know nothing about, like Grace, Paris, and I think Theo, who leaves his squad to join Ethan, but we don't know anything about them. They're not very interesting. I think the movie just suffers from not having a very clear antagonist. Ethan and the entity don't really interact with each other. There's one scene where they have a conversation. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to spoil anything because I'm in the future and I saw it last week and y'all haven't yet. But Gabriel is a bit of a shitty secondary antagonist because he was retconned in the previous film. He never existed in the Mission Impossible films until Dead Reckoning, and they introduced him as someone who killed the love of Ethan's life before he joined the MIF. And in that film, he's serving the entity. In this film, he sort of wants to control it, and so they've changed his objective and motivations on a dime without explanation. I don't know what else to say. Like the movie just relies a lot on nostalgia. There's some really cool callbacks to Mission Impossible 1, Mission Impossible 3. They sort of fixed the MacGuffin that J.J. Abrams introduced in Mission Impossible 3 and have an answer to that and tied into the last 3 films. I thought that was really clever. But beyond that, this is a bloated spectacle. Like I almost fell asleep. I was checking the time halfway through. I wasn't a big fan.
Does that mean that in order to fully understand what is going on in a film I'm probably not going to like very much, that I have to go and watch like 7 Mission Impossible movies?
No, you don't need to, because they do this thing where they literally play footage from those films and have like a voiceover narrator explaining everything every step of the way. So you don't need to watch any other film to understand what's going on.
Okay. I probably will anyway, but that makes me feel slightly better because it means I won't have to pay complete attention to it. It does sound as though, because obviously this is supposed to be the big, it's the final reckoning, unless it makes like $1 billion, in which case they'll somehow find a way to do another one. But like it sounds like, because it's the final one, what they've tried to do is like make the stakes the biggest they've ever possibly been, because that's where action and excitement comes from, as opposed to we actually could have made arguably the biggest final entry, one of the smallest, most sort of grounded character pieces in the entire thing, because there is so much of history to build on with him and with the relationships that he's built up over time. Like actually paying off the character and giving him a proper send-off requires a smaller set of stakes, arguably, than you might expect. But from what it sounds like, if we continue with the stupid AI thing, no, it's got to be let's save the entire world from Skynet again.
Yeah. I don't really think this is a very good send-off for Ethan, to be honest. Like, the entire film is framed as being like the last outing of Ethan Hunt, but not really, because it still opens the door for him to return, which I don't think he will, because Dead Reckoning cost 300 mil. It only made about 500-600. It would have needed to make about 800 to break even. Mission Impossible Fallout was, I think, arguably is the best Mission Impossible film in the series. And that made 790 million. That's the most that any of these films have ever made. This new movie cost 400 million. Add another 150 to 200 million for marketing. That's $600 million budget altogether. It needs to make $1 billion to break even, and none of the Mission Impossible films have done that. And this isn't a very good film. Like, I think people who enjoy Mission Impossible will get a kick out of it because, as I said, there are some great stunts. Tom Cruise is still charismatic as ever, but the writing is where this movie falters.
Well, that was the thing with because obviously they changed the title of this because part 1 didn't do very well, so they've tried to trick people into seats by pretending that it sort of didn't happen, or like you can go and see this without necessarily having watched that. But when that one did underperform, I think a lot of people were somewhat surprised because it came off the back of like Top Gun Maverick, which did a huge amount of money at the box office. And there were a number of theories for why that was the case, and it was like, well, maybe it got shunted out of the way by Barbenheimer, and it would have done better if it hadn't been for that, which never made much sense to me. When it seems like the obvious answer to the question why it didn't do very well is that was not a particularly good film. And if this also isn't a particularly good film, and especially if it's worse than part 1, I could see it doing quite badly for all the goodwill that the character has probably built up. Like, there will be people who go to see it because it's the last one, right? But I'm not.
Yeah, I think that to say that the previous one didn't do well because it was sandwiched in between Barbie and Oppenheimer is a bit of cope. A lot of people were also saying COVID had something to do with it. No, like if it was a good film and if this ended up being a great film, word of mouth would have helped it break a profit. But that's not. I don't think that's going to happen because this isn't a very good film. It's a one and done movie. It was disappointing. I'll just say, because I rewatched the Dead Reckoning with my girlfriend. She quite liked it, even though she didn't know very much about the Mission Impossible films. We watched Fallout the night before that, and she said that was great, and these weren't as good as that. So from a normie perspective, this one was sort of disappointing for her as well.
How long is the runtime?
It's fucking 3 hours long.
That's way too long for an action movie.
And that's the thing. There isn't that much action in this movie. It's just a lot of talking, a lot of close-ups on faces.
What are they doing for 3 hours?
Yeah, what the fuck? It's a Mission Impossible movie. I came back to the worst information ever.
They introduce... There's just a lot of new characters, like 20 or 30 new characters that get introduced to move the plot forward. So there's a lot of talking in this movie, I'll just say. When the action does appear, it is magnificent, but there isn't nearly enough of that. I think like maybe 20% of the movie is action.
It sounds like the film is trying to basically restart itself by ignoring part 1. So it's trying to introduce all these new things and then pay them off in the same movie. Is that kind of right? Or
could be a good reason why it's bloated.
Huh.
I could have easily cut this movie down to an hour and 15 minutes.
That's so crazy. So you could cut an entire hour out of this thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You got it for 3 hours. You got to be like some crazy spectacle of some kind, like to justify that runtime. Like what's T2's runtime? Just over 2 hours, something like that.
Just over 2, yeah. Yeah,
much more reasonable. And look how much you get in that 2 hours, packed with character, packed with quality, continuity, memorable scenes.
And in T2, you have a very clear antagonist pursuing the main characters throughout the movie. He's relentless in his pursuit, the T-1000 is. In this movie, you barely see the main antagonist and the secondary antagonist. They're sort of just in the sidelines. You see them at the beginning and then at the end, and that's it. Like, you can't make a movie that way.
It's crazy. It's just a big
Oh,
portion of
sounds good.
T2 where the T1000 isn't there because they lose him, right? And then he has to find them, track him down
Yeah.
again. And people
Yeah.
forget about that because of how effective he is. He's like you would think he's a part of the entire movie, you know, but that's just his presence. You don't need to have a lot of screen time as long as you have.
But the side journey they go on isn't really a side story because they're still trying to kill him by preventing his existence.
Exactly.
So,
You're
so it's
always
not.
lingering.
Yeah, so it does. It never feels like a detour.
Mhm.
Like we need an excuse to lose him for a bit. It
And
is
when you watch it,
actually- Sorry, go on.
no, Reaper's 100% right. Even when
100%.
they're not like protecting themselves from him, they're actively trying to prevent Skynet from taking over. And when you're watching it for the first time, the threat of the T1000 appearing from like one of the doors or the windows was always there. Like he could come in at any time. So the stakes were always like right up there.
Yeah, he's such a fantastic villain. Like, you feel his presence the entire time he's off screen.
Yeah, we just rewatched Silence of the Lambs, and Anthony Hopkins is only in that movie for 16 minutes.
Yep, I checked
And-
that. 1 minute more than Riri Williams. Let that sink in.
That's
Let that
crazy.
sink in, people. 1 minute more than Riri Williams. I need to like.
Wow.
Oh my god, that's fucking mind-boggling.
His presence permeates that entire film.
Reaper's favorite movie. I'm not gonna forget that. We all fucking put him out there. 1 minute more than
That's
that
crazy.
fucking blockhead. It's
That'd
crazy.
be a
Reaper's favorite
really,
movie is Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
He told us. I don't know.
Really
No,
interesting and
that-
like completely unexpected, unpredictable like character comparison video. Anthony Hopkins is Hannibal Lecter versus Riri Williams. How do they handle them?
I can't believe it. Oh man, nuts.
Well, I
Shouldn't-
guess
that shouldn't be right. That shouldn't be right at all.
we'll all find out about Mission Impossible 8 this weekend. I will be there to see it. Are you
We're all
guys
gonna be
doing it on
disappointed.
EFAP, Platoon?
I believe that is this weekend. Yeah, so I am
Yeah.
supposed to be watching a bunch of Mission Impossible for the
They
preparation
love
stuff.
Fallout, so I know they've been following the series since then.
Well, in other news, the Superman trailer, another Superman trailer dropped. I picked this because it was like a before and after. They took out that part where he blinked when he gets hit with the can.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was
Not even a-
appreciative of that too.
Not even a big Superman fan, but details matter. Like
Yeah,
that
I
shit,
agreed.
not even blip.
Yeah. But did everyone get a chance to see it?
Yep.
Oh,
No?
new trailer?
Okay, great.
Anyway, I know of the clip, but I haven't actually seen it.
Well, the trailer starts with him basically getting, as someone in the chat called it earlier, browbeaten by Lois for like half the trailer. He's defending himself against, I don't know, some rescue
yeah.
mission he went on. Yeah.
They're
It's
having,
apparently
they're having an interview. She's interviewing him about intervening in a foreign conflict to save lives.
It's
And
like
the
10
pro-
minutes long, I've heard. Is that the case?
Yeah, it's supposed to be in the middle of the movie. That entire scene is 10 minutes. And what I don't like about it is how over emotional Superman is. She's calm. She never raises her voice. She's stoic. He's over emotional, very animated. He's too feminine in his behavior, especially when he fights kaiju for a living.
You're not wrong, dude. I felt that too when I was watching it. I was like, he's really being a bitch right now.
Yeah,
He needs
100%.
to calm down.
That's not Superman. Superman is supposed to be like peak masculinity. He's like,
Well,
you can't like the composure that he's displayed throughout all the. You can say what you want about Snyder. He at least understood Superman's stoicism. You can't have him being a little bitch.
I think
Yeah,
the
he was
blinking,
so stoic.
removing the blinking thing does say a lot more than what at face value anyway. It says a lot more. Because it makes me fear that maybe James Gunn really does not have a handle on Superman and he doesn't really
Sure.
understand Superman. I'm
He's
like, you
insecure.
took the fan reaction to that and changed it. That's not good.
If he was confident in his vision, this isn't even something that would phase him. He would have a
Right.
reason for why. Like in terms of his interpretation, it would be something that he thought about. The fact that this was something that caught him off guard to the point where they had to change it, I don't know. Not a lot of faith.
Well,
I
a lot
don't
of people
think Matt
will-
Reeves would have changed something about the Batman
Fuck no.
based on that. You know what I mean? I don't think
Yeah.
I think or the Penguin. I think that was like a clear vision. Fuck off. Like how it has to be done.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Matt Reeves isn't on social media the same way that James Gunn is. I do know that when the teaser was released, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's not that he's reacting as Superman. It's that he's trying to appear human in front of them, and that's why he's blinking. He didn't feel it. But
he's acting.
that was the coat. But the fact that James Gunn has actually changed it for the new trailer indicates that no, that wasn't. That was purely a mistake.
Nothing like Cope getting exposed. Like, what are you talking about, man? He's acting. He's pretending so he can be more relatable. I feel cans too, people. Like, what the hell? It's just stupid. Like, the fact that they had to switch it is just a clear sign of insecurity.
I mean,
he's such an habitual liar. He lies about everything, every single thing about this movie. Even the budget, when it got leaked, it was like 300 odd million. He went, no, that's not true. That's a lie. And it was the truth.
and to this comment, I mean, you're talking about someone dying versus just like being asked a few questions.
Yeah, death versus an interview, bro. What's wrong with you?
Huge difference.
So I guess to play devil's advocate, Lois Lane is a reporter. She tends to be quite objective with the way that she approaches questions. And I think if Kal-El, Clark Kent, Superman is being interviewed by anybody else, he'd probably be stoic, or at least attempt to be stoic, putting on that persona to appear confident. But he's a bit more vulnerable when he's speaking to his loved one. And I don't know, like maybe that's the approach that they're going for. And this Superman is like Superman year 1, year 2. He's in his early days. He still hasn't figured things out, doesn't understand his place as a superhero and what it is that he should do and how he should appear in front of people. And hopefully that's something that develops. But yeah, that's just me playing devil's advocate.
But there's a way that you can do that, even with, like, for example, Young Bond, Casino Royale. Do you remember his first scene with Vesper, the lady, his love interest in that movie?
Oh yeah.
On the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, their back and forth was fantastic. You could see them measuring each other up. Like, there's so much subtext. You can see that she was very intelligent and articulate, and just you can see that he piqued her interest and she impressed him at the same time. It was fantastic scene, a better version, and without lowering one of them. It was a balanced scene, and that's how you should do it. This seems like Superman is just being a whiny bitch, and I wouldn't have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem with her being so stoic, because that's in line with her job, right? She's a reporter. But you compare that to him, it doesn't work. We need more from this character who's supposed to be Superman.
Plus, how strong do you think the writing's going to be? Because they're going to talk about Superman as an agent of the US government versus him just being an independent superhero. 10 minutes is a long time to have that discussion right in the middle of the movie. Like this philosophical debate. I don't think he's gonna have it. He's gonna have it all. He said he's very proud of it, James Gunn, but I think it'll be very surface level.
Some of my favorite Marvel scenes, period, like the Punisher Daredevil conversation, is just, that's the GOAT, right? So I don't want to completely brush it off. There's a potential there, but Lois and a whiny Superman, come on. I don't know. Like Daredevil and Punisher, their dynamic and their stories make for an unbelievable conversation, and the performances just made it just go out through the roof. This, I'm just not sure. And again, it's a teaser. Like we're supposed to be getting the best side of this character to inspire us to watch this movie, not showing us this whiny little moment that just seems so off, So I don't get it. This whole marketing campaign has been a botch. And like I'm a Superman casual, so that's why I'm saying that. I'm like have no interest based on what they've shown me.
What was everyone's reaction to the trailer?
Man.
Too many characters, way too many characters is like my biggest gripe. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
I called the dog Ralph. Okay, that's all you need to know. Remember that. I can remember this fucker's name. Like, what's he doing here? So that's it.
I thought it was kind of meh.
Yeah,
that was kind of my like underwhelmed. I guess I didn't particularly hate it or find any of it massively offensive. Like there are some bits that people have found concerning that I don't find particularly concerning. I think it's absolutely fine that you would expect your main character in a movie to actually go through a second act low point of some sort. So like seeing him get beaten up or feeling downcast and depressed and miserable is going to be part of the film. Should be part of the film because you kind of need it. Otherwise, it's going to be a boring one note affair. Whether you should make it quite such a prominent part of your marketing stuff. I'm not sure, but I do think that it was an attempt to tell people who are casuals that this might be more interesting as a film, because Superman sort of has this reputation amongst very casual people like myself of just being quite bland and boring because he's so powerful. And so like you need to show vulnerability to sort of get some people's interest peaked. My main concern is, I think, going to be like if James Gunn is going to be using Superman kind of like the personification of America, and he's going to try and tell like this feel-good story in which Superman is the personification of a bunch of psychodramatic stuff that's been going through the culture in the last 5 to 10 years. And what he wants Superman to do is kind of represent America being unhappy with itself, but then finding the way forward and then coming out of it being strong and great and brilliant and amazing. And that's Superman. And like if he's being bitched about Middle Eastern politics, yeah, Superman's take on America's history of foreign interventionism is going to be an interesting one. My concern with it isn't that it's necessarily a bad idea. It's just that delivered superficially, it will be incredibly corny and cheesy. And I think James Gunn has those sort of inclinations in him. So like potentially interesting idea, probably going to be delivered with all the subtlety of a brick.
Yeah, way too many things to balance, in my opinion. And there's so much on the line with this movie. It's at a point where the movie has to be great. Like it has to be like one of the best superhero movies ever made. Not just
the success of the new DC universe and the survival of Warner Brothers, I think, hinges on this Superman movie doing well.
There's a part of me that
I was just going to ask you guys if James Gunn is the director you would trust to actually save your movie studio.
The man's a liar. He lies about what he ate for breakfast this morning. You can't trust that motherfucker. No way.
Well, did you hear his comments before the film? Like he said, I believe the goodness in human beings. And I'm like, no, you fucking don't, you liar. Well, he says here, Superman, he didn't want to make Superman a fascistic power fantasy.
When has Superman ever, except in Zack Snyder's universe, when has he ever been a fascistic power fantasy?
Well, he thinks because he's a straight white man who's very powerful and dominating, that itself is fascistic. Because he is...
His character is a straight right man. Like, that's it. That's all they see. It's so frustrating.
But he's not a white man. He's a Kryptonian. He's not from this earth.
Even with an alien, if your skin is white, you're fucked. It doesn't matter what your story is. It's so annoying. Oh my God.
It's just, at the end of the day, as he doesn't believe in any of this. So, as Platoon said, he probably will give it a very corny, surface level, shallow, America's all about being good. That's it.
Yeah, like coming to terms with your own vulnerability is the masculine thing to do. You've got to account for, the difficulties and the emotional traumas that you face in order to emerge from it as a stronger person. Again, like you could do that in a really, really interesting way. It's just like I think the Avengers counterexamples come up before, and it's like Civil War did it really, really well because it's so clearly an extension of like the natural character growth of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. That really, really works. It is doing sort of modern, I guess, political theming in the sense that those two sides of the conversation of like national security versus freedom are universally understood to be like current political concerns at basically any time in history you care to name. But it works really, really well for each of their characters. You can see exactly how each of them got to that point, and their points of view have been fleshed out, and that they are integral to who they are. Trying to sort of do all of that in the space of a single movie and try to cover all of it, like the character of like America generally, is going to be
yeah, you nailed it. Like Civil War had all the movies built up to that, and their character arcs, the journeys that they went on was perfect. Like completely switching sides, pretty much. Because if Civil War happened at the beginning of the Avengers, it would have been the opposite in terms of their perspectives, and that's what I love about that movie. Trying to do that in just one movie is fucking embarrassing, and we're gonna get some lame bullshit version of it. Like I'm picturing the Daredevil fiddle faddle scene, that stupid fucker who just wanted to see the corn pop. That's what I'm saying. Extend that scene into a movie, and that's what we got here.
I don't think it'll be quite that dumb. I think like James Gunn has probably a little bit more sense than that, because that, Jesus Christ, that scene. But
I just wanted to steal.
Daredevil's literally one of my favorite characters of any genre, like top 10 list, period. And that's one of the worst scenes I've ever seen in my fucking life. Just tapped out of the show after that. I can't believe they did that. but that's their mentality. So I wouldn't be shocked if the movie has that too.
It will be interesting as well to see how they do balance it, given that this is our first introduction effectively to what Superman is going to be for the DCU, but he's also being introduced to us alongside about 50,000 other people.
Yeah.
So how much time and space does his narrative get? How do they sort of fit into the broader thematic story of the thing? I'm sort of intrigued by how it's handled, but I wouldn't necessarily say I'm optimistic about how it's going to be handled.
I'm
Well, the
kind
world
of
building is going to be fucked because already they're introducing a problem. If you are a superhero and your actions are not that of an independent citizen, but a representation of your government, how does that work? Like, if Batman goes to China, do China, America go to war? Like, I don't think they'll think about any of this moving forward.
They did that a little bit in The Dark Knight in terms of the different jurisdictions and the rules that would apply. But I don't think this movie's going to pay attention to that. It's got too many things to juggle. And it's weird. Like a cynic, I know you have that part of you that's kind of rooting for this to fail, for the Batman and the Penguin to succeed. Because if this bombs, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of like, you know what? Fuck it. If I have to burn this movie to get more Batman and like more Penguin, I'm down. Just give me one more story with each of them, and I'm good. Because
I need a conclusion to
the
Matt Reeves's universe. Like I
100%. I think I need that more than this. Like this is
for sure, and I think the people need it.
Yeah, because the Penguin was just a gift, man. Like that's one of the things that keeps just. Oh, man, how is Batman so fucking awesome that even his side characters can make incredible stories like that? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So hopefully, I don't want it to fail, but I just want that story to get a conclusion, like you said. It deserves it.
Yeah, Batman is S tier, dude.
What if you get the worst of both worlds, where the movie sucks, but James Gunn, like Kathleen Kennedy, won't go. He just keeps making bomb after bomb.
Oh man, he's trying to sabotage the Batman success. Yeah,
like a monkey's paw. You get what you wish for, but in the worst way.
Oh man,
they're gonna skip over the middle of the Batman and just go right to like the Dark Knight Returns because Robert Pattinson's gonna be 60 by the time they make.
I don't know what their plan was with that. Why even cast him if you're not gonna use his youth? You know,
so crazy. I mean, he still looks youthful, I guess. So and it is acting. So maybe they can make it work.
But Alfred, he's getting up there. The Andy Serkis. Yeah. I don't know. The fact that after the Dark Knight series, we still have another Batman that doesn't feel like it's, trying to overtake that. They don't compete. They kind of have their own flavor while still being Batman.
They totally have their own flavor.
I don't know how they pulled it off. Like because look at the Snyder Wars. All the Snyder fiends are like, oh, I can't wait to shit on this movie. They can't just let the new Superman movie exist, where somehow the Batman and the Dark Knight can coexist.
Dude.
I don't get it. I find that fascinating. Yeah.
It's like just Batman. Embrace what's here. It's not going to bring the Snyderverse back. I don't understand why you need to hate on it.
You can't approach Snyderverse fans as though they're rational human beings.
Cynic.
We know
this. Can't.
They're flinging shit at each other, just rewatching fucking stupid BVS, man. That's it. That's what they do. They're animals.
They're just looking for all of the little subtleties Zack Snyder threw in there, like when Superman was Jesus. It's so subtle.
It's symbolic. Yeah, Zach. Symbolic of what? It's symbolic.
It's symbolic. Okay, it just is.
It's iconic.
Fucking Christ, man.
Speaking of iconic,
oh my god,
my girl.
Yeah, first trailer for I picked this for a reason. The first trailer for Ironheart is out, and the first 3 episodes, which is like half the series, all drop on June 24th.
Just get it out.
Yeah. I'm like afraid to play the trailer for everyone because I don't want to get copyright hit, but I know Niet did last night, so I don't know.
We'll probably be okay as long as we like pause this way. The Superman one has been struck down, hasn't it, by like a fuck ton of people. But I think like Disney Marvel tends to be better as long as you pause semi often, semi
over.
If you play the trailer, it will get demonetized, but it won't get taken down. But I haven't played Ironheart yet.
Oh, well,
I played Superman.
I suppose we could just discuss it. It's not good. We can start there.
What a shock.
Yeah.
Well, we watched it live off stream before this started because I hadn't seen it. So I could actually have context for this. And holy shit, Is he not kidding? It's not good. It's fucking crap. It's cringe. And the tiny bit of potential the character had, they've just shot it away.
I feel like it does set the tone quite. Like, how many times was she referred to as a genius in like that 2-minute trailer? Because it felt like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, like once every 10 seconds, basically. You're not the only genius to come from it. Well, we want you because you're a genius. You're a genius, Riri. I know you're a genius, but it's like, for fuck's sake.
They have a scene to display that she's clearly intelligent and capable and totally fearless, even though her life should be on the line. And then they end the scene by explicitly saying that she's a genius, which is like the worst of the worst. It's just, it shows how pathetic you are and how desperate you are to fucking display that, you know? Show, don't tell is just dead when it comes to fucking
They
business.
released some behind the scenes stuff regarding this with interviews as well. And it is so desperate to make you think this character's A, original, and B, like a fucking super genius. And they really try to sell you on it by just repeating what you're supposed to think over and over and over. It complements the trailer really well, to be fair.
They didn't need to do that for Tony. They didn't. Tony achieved more in his opening scene with that fucking bottle of liquor, or glass of whiskey in his hand, than Riri's done in an entire film. And I'm sure she'll do in this movie. It's just, you don't have to do that insecure bullshit if you actually have a well-written character. I see America Chavez, I see Cassie, I see all the rest here. It's just
arguably worse than that, because I don't remember anybody going around telling America Chavez that she was a brilliant, bright, beautiful, genius creature. Like she was insufferable, but not quite for those reasons.
Doctor Strange was definitely kissing her ass for sure. Not to that degree, but just like, holy shit. So much faith in this child that you just met that you're willing to risk like the whole multiverse.
But Defender Strange had the right impulse when he tried to kill her. I mean, that would have been, I think, for the best for everyone. And we haven't seen her since, though, so maybe she has died.
We had 3 Stranges, and only one of them made sense.
Especially when she spagged out after a bee and killed her lesbian parents.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Like, how?
Reaper, we don't know. We don't know if they're dead. They could have gone to another universe. Calm down.
Incursions. Which rules?
Probably like a
The
full-on
rules?
lesbian universe too. You know, maybe they're happier.
If we ended up in the Event Horizon universe and they've got no eyes and they've got like fucking demon tattoos.
She just turns over to see them. I want to see that scene actually. The Event Horizon.
Riri, come home, and it's like hell.
And she has the Riri. It's American. That's what I'm saying. They're all
character.
the same. No, you're right, Reaper. They're all the same. They could have. I could have. They're all the same. This blob of girl boss. That's all.
Riri's just such a uninteresting character, because when you look at like Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark, like he didn't build the Iron Man suit to be iconic. He built it out of desperation. He had a couple of scraps. He was in captivity, and that was the best idea he could think of on the spot. And then him building the Iron Man suit becomes a catalyst for him wanting to change his entire business model and what he was doing with his money. There's nothing like that with Riri.
He needed the suit to save his life. It literally was life or death. It wasn't even, it was beyond that. And then the Mark 1 suit, like actually coming through with the design. Riri literally did it out of spite. Her teacher said she couldn't do it, so she did it. That's it.
Right.
Like, that's her whole story. It's pathetic.
Riri Williams was invented like 10 years ago at this point. They've had 10 years to kind of rewrite her backstory so it's not a super villain origin story, but they actually almost lean into it more with this, because I don't remember who said it, but I saw it on Twitter somewhere, and I totally agree. They said that like villains want to be iconic, not heroes.
Yes. That's just not how it works. It's the hero's journey is very simple. Like understanding that you're just having this task placed before you and having to rise to the occasion as just a normal person. It's a really relatable thing. That's why we've seen it happen so many times. But the hero's journey now is just like, you're incredible from the beginning, and we're waiting for the audience to catch up. You know?
And when heroes do set out to be iconic, because part of Tony Stark's story is his sort of fight against his own self-destructive arrogance as much as anything. Like when he does take too great an estimation of his own worth, when he is too like huffing his own fucking words of just that sentence was going somewhere, and I can't remember where it was going.
Sniffers his own parts.
When that's the one I was looking for. When he's
There
been
it
huffing
was.
his own farts for so long, like that's portrayed unambiguously as a problem and a character flaw that he usually has to learn from and overcome. Like it's not a good thing that he sees himself as an icon. That is something he needs to learn not to do.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Her
It's
shitty
like-
attitude is never highlighted as a weakness or something that he needs to improve on or learn from. And
No,
they have
it's
the
supposed to be,
opportunities.
she's so cool because
She's
she wants to
fucking
be those
stupid.
things.
Blowing up cops and being an asshole, man. Like instead of actually understanding what
Yeah,
they
are
could
they
do with
going to
character.
address that? The fact
Never.
that she murdered
Never.
cops?
Nice one, Riri. That's what Shuri said, and they moved on. Like that's it.
would be
They never
funny.
thought about it ever again.
It would be funny if they did the Anchorman. He goes, Riri killed a guy. I go, I know, Riri, you're probably wanted for murder.
You might want to lay low.
Oh my god, man. And I feel like those two things should always be mentioned, or that is one of two things that should be also mentioned, always mentioned with Riri. The fact that she killed cops, and they could have had the same thing they did with Cap and Bucky, having him protecting the cops from Bucky who's like rampaging, and just that dynamic would have been much more interesting because this is her city, and they just have her being a mad woman instead. It's just one of those moments where you've killed the character before she's even made it out of the gate. Like, how can I take her seriously at all now?
Considering this is written at the same time She-Hulk and all that came out,
Ooh.
what is
Oh,
her
man.
morality? Because at what point, because the Hood is going to be a step too far, my question is, like, what acceptable evil does she commit throughout the series? Like, she'll blow up police officers, but when she goes to shoot a kid, she goes, no, that's too much.
That's it. That'll be her line. That's it. I don't know. How did they make the suit look worse? Am I the only one who noticed that? Like it looks
does
even
look
worse.
really bad. Yeah.
How do you make?
They took a step back.
I don't know, man.
Well,
Tony's
wait,
suit
but
looks
did they
so
remove the
awesome.
cornrows? Is the real question.
I don't
The
know.
cornrows from the helmet.
Man.
And
That
that's
was such a
another question,
horrible
it's like,
decision.
how does this even fit in timeline wise with like Wakanda Forever? Because we already know that she can and has built a suit. We already know that she's best friends with the Wakandans. So how is she starting from scratch? I'm assuming she is starting from scratch because the trailer gave me that impression. And by starting from scratch, I mean go steal some stuff. This is how all good heroes begin. And then
Well, the Wakandans probably stole it from her. And she's like, bitch, I'm going to steal from other people. And everyone's just robbing everyone.
She should be super set up after Wakanda Forever. Like she's connected to Shuri. She should be stacked. So
Yeah.
I'm like Lucian said, I'm not really sure what we're really gonna do. But judging from what they did with Black Panther, they had him have an entire arc in Civil War. He was a fantastic character, and they reset his ass and made him a fucking moron for his own movie because they need to tell a story, and they've already done a great arc. So he's, instead of being the king and like this great leader, he was a fucking bitch in his own movie, getting like bullied by everybody. So I think Riri's gonna have some type of reset, and just they need to show us that she's a genius again. That's pretty much what it's gonna be.
But even though
they do this, I forgot about that.
But like Riri will be an absolute genius who can build fucking anything, and yet she still needs to go to university for some reason. She still needs approval from men. She still needs people to hire her for jobs. When it's like that Mulan problem where she has this super chi, but she can't get anywhere. It's like it's your fault for being so shit.
That's the super chi. As soon as I know which Mulan you're talking about, as soon as you mentioned the super chi, it's just such a fucking dead giveaway. Fuck that movie. I despise
But the girls always have that problem. The modern women, it's I'm perfect, I'm amazing, but for some reason I can't succeed, and it's your fault.
And it's not a One Punch Man thing or a Superman thing where they have to write around them being overpowered and actually do it in an intelligent way. And like Goku and Neo, they always make them late to every single fight. Like you have to do something to curb these super powered characters, even though that's a lazy way, but it's better than nothing. But with these girl bosses, they just don't give a shit. They forget about the story entirely and have them just dominate.
I'm pretty sure Jedi Brooks is black.
Huh?
I think.
Me too.
Yeah, and Niet is too. That's just like responding to this comment.
My complaint that she's a black genius. Are you fucking high? Like,
Also,
I
like,
just what?
Remember how right at the beginning of the stream when we were talking about Wakanda and separating like Africans' view of Wakanda and African Americans' view of Wakanda and how very different those things were. Seems to me like we're kind of at least superficially familiar with the distinction between those two, but you know, maybe that was just me.
But more importantly, like when did I mention her skin color at all during that? It was just it was mostly about the writing of her character and how she's portrayed, and the similar journey that we saw with Tony that was achieved so much more effectively through characterization. But with Riri, there's nothing earned. There's nothing there to inspire me. There's nothing there that's appealing. It's a shit character.
Not Dark Wolf. Not once did we actually mention her skin color. We mentioned the difference between her motivations and objectives, and how she wants to be iconic without there being a plight to support that. I think it's you who sees race. Like
that's exactly it. You literally added that. That's such a self-report. It shows how you feel about this. Where it doesn't matter how many points we make throughout the entire podcast. If you get emotional about race, you have to fucking include that. Even you just made that shit up. When
the one I was expecting to hear, because like you have to have at least like one brain dead comment whenever you're talking about characters like this. The one I was expecting was, oh, you're just saying it because she's a woman. That's the one that you'd normally
that made more sense than knee-jerk reaction.
To be fair, I would have got a more interesting response, which is that, yeah, we are saying it about another female character because this is a common problem with female characters. Like most of the young women the MCU has introduced have the same problem. Not once does the skin color question even come into it because it doesn't matter where they come from. It's always the same.
It's crazy. That's why I made the reference earlier. So how can it be about race when I literally said? How can it be about race when I literally said Riri is the same as Cassie and America and all the other idiot girl bosses? They're all the same. It's
because they all are a race.
What you're doing though, what you're doing is you're using code. You're speaking in code. You're saying that, but you mean something else.
So speaking about the fundamentals of character writing is code for racism. I'm so confused, Dark Wolf. Can you articulate your point?
It's exhausting, yet, isn't it? It's just crazy. Like I told these guys, we all talk about comments that like linger in the stupid comments we get. I wish I could remember more, but there's the one I'll remember to the day I die. It was the dude in my Black Panther who said, "Oh, it wasn't made for you. Get over it." And I'm like, what? A lifelong Black Marvel fan, like, and you're telling me that the fucking Black Panther movie wasn't made for me? It's ridiculous. You need to get this race shit out of here when we're just talking about the story. There's a reason we put in all this effort.
To end on a note of common ground, I completely agree with the first 5 words of that last comment you just highlighted. I think that's where that sentence can end, and we can move on.
Next on the list was this: Galactus was revealed for Fantastic Four.
Why does he look so fat?
I was wondering that too.
He's fat fucker. That's not Galactus.
It's Jedi. He literally consumes planets. Of course he's fat.
No, he's just eating. Planets are lean yet. Every Galactus I've seen has been more like, what's the cheeks? I don't know what that is. That's not Galactus. I reject that.
How does he work out in space? You can't lift weights. Everything's weightless.
That's true. They did release like the full reveal. It looks insanely comic accurate, except for how just kind of Kingpin-ish he is in the face. But
is he just blandly colored in the comics then? Because that was my
he is not. It's very colorful.
He's super purple and
super purple. Yeah,
this actually looks faded and like this. Honestly, you could have told me this was like Doug the Emperor or something. Like this doesn't look like Galactus at all. You could have told me this is some 80s movies. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty accurate.
I just Galactus has one of the most incredible presence of any villains. Like I don't even know anything about him other than he's awesome.
At least he's not a fucking cloud though. Like, he was a cloud in Fantastic Four 2 from like the 2000s or whatever.
Didn't they do a good Silver Surfer back then? I remember
they
did.
Being okay. They did.
Lawrence Fishburne voiced Silver Surfer.
Oh, cool.
Perfect for the voice of Silver Surfer. And the CGI actually was pretty good too. Yep.
And then we got Silver Surf her like out of nowhere. Like this is what I mean. Again. It's so dude in the chat, is it about race? Like I'm racist against silver people now? Like what are we talking about? It's just shit characters are shit characters no matter what color they are. Motherfuckers. Be right back.
Mic drop, be right back. All right.
I did see somewhere that didn't Kevin Feige send wasn't there like a Fortnite event with Galactus, and apparently Kevin Feige sent that to the people making Fantastic Four as like an inspirational art reference, because once again we're doing the whole Fortnite leads the culture thing.
Oh god, I didn't know that.
I don't know if it was true. I saw it on Twitter, which means it's got about a 10% chance of being true, but it looked compelling because it's Kevin Feige.
They did that with Star Wars, didn't they?
Star Wars was worse though because they actually the plot of the Rise of Skywalker relies on you having played Fortnite, which is very different. That's when Palpatine in Fortnite says, "Wow, I have returned," and then in the film it's just, "Yeah, he did." Oh, okay.
Well, he's voiced by Ralph Ineson. I think that's his name. The
Yeah.
super deep voice guy from The Witch.
He does have a very good voice.
One
Yeah,
of the
so
best voices in Hollywood right now.
he'll sound great. I hope he's not too CGI. They don't fuck with his voice too much.
Well, you wouldn't need to, yeah, because he's got such a very distinctive, very deep voice anyway. You probably wouldn't need to do that much to it. In the way that okay, who plays Thanos and writes awful poetry?
Josh Brolin.
That's the one. Like, you didn't have to do a huge amount even for his voice. Yeah, Josh Brolin's poetry was a thing on this show for a while. I had to read some of it out because people paid me to. It was fucking awful.
About skinny boys named Timothy Chalamet, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't have to change his voice too much, I guess, is the point. And I don't know. I don't know enough about the character to be either sort of turned on or turned off by this. It just looks like he looks like a deep fried meme, if that helps.
I did appreciate its comic accuracy, and it's probably because of the whole Cloud situation from the Fantastic Four sequel they did, Rise of the Silver Surfer, back in like 2007-ish or something like that. So yeah, I appreciate it. I did find it weird that he's a little bloated, but he'll be okay, I'm sure.
I think it's because he's based on the actor, because he's got a similar nose shape. I mean, Ralph Ineson isn't fat, but he's kind of older. So he's got a little bit of a droopiness to his face.
I also hope he'll just end up being good and competent. I mean, the end of Thunderbolts kind of implies that he's going to win in Fantastic Four, right? Because the Thunderbolts, the fucking Fantastic Four show up in our universe. So
so
the MCU yeah, he must have won. The MCU needs a single competent villain would be a start. This might be a place.
Well, he either consumes the planet that the Fantastic Four are trying to protect, or Reed Richards traps him in some different alternate universe, and as a result, they're transported to the mainline MCU continuity.
I just hope it isn't a terrible extra scene at the very end of the movie where Reed Richards goes, "I'm just going to push some buttons in this computer," and he accidentally travels to our universe.
Some Ant-Man 3 shit right there.
Yeah, it could just be that Johnny spills a drink over the controls.
God, that's so fun. There's further Marvel news as well. I thought this was interesting because I don't agree with her, even though I'm a superhero guy. Scarlett Johansson says Avengers Endgame should have been nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. How did this film not get nominated? It was an impossible movie. That doesn't, just because it was hard to produce doesn't mean that it's worthy of a Best Picture nod, but it was an impossible movie that should not have worked, that really works as a film. And also it's one of the most successful films of all time. None of those things are qualifiers to make a Best Picture, in my opinion. But
nope.
It's just a roundabout saying that it is a film that really works as a film. So it did its job of being a film. Therefore, it should be the Best Picture.
And it was a successful film.
Yeah. But like the more you think about Endgame, the less and less it works. So I would even dispute the qualifiers she's trying to pretend make it useful. It's like it wasn't an impossible movie because they made it. It didn't work particularly well. It did make lots of money.
Sure did.
But I think they were better. I don't know what other nominees there were for Best Picture that year, but I'm pretty sure one of the others would have deserved it more.
I think Joker was the superhero adjacent movie that got nominated for that year.
And that is a better picture than
that is
Avengers Endgame.
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't agree with it, but an argument could be made for Infinity War maybe getting nominated for Best Picture. I wouldn't nominate it, but I thought that was a much better film.
Yeah, that movie was not very good. AJ Hawk's Toxic Finger is correct here. I can't remember the name of the movie. It wasn't good.
Oh, the Guillermo del Toro one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is a movie being successful as a qualifier, Scarlett. what the fuck?
That's a dangerous precedent to set, because then all of the Transformers movies would have won Best Picture.
Oh god, yeah,
Fast
Twilight
and
would have been.
Furious.
I mean, that's what the Golden Globes did for Barbie, wasn't it? They invented a brand new category, like award for box office achievement or something, because it was incredibly successful, but it wasn't going to win any of the awards that it had been put forward for. So they created a category so that it could win. If you want to have like a best cinematic achievement award with incredibly vague terms, by all means invent one, and then you can just say whatever the vibe movie of the year is, it will win. But it doesn't win by best picture qualification rules.
Does she feel the same way about Avatar? That's what I'm wondering.
Oh,
Like
fuck
all the
no.
other shit movies you can list that fit this criteria. And this comment is like, you're like 4 or 5 years too late for this. Like this was like something you can make maybe a week or two after Endgame when people were still hyped. But most people know it was a shit movie by now, so it's a bit weird.
But the Oscars have been politicized for a while now. Because what was it? Emilia Perez was going to win everything. I think it didn't in the end because the transsexual actor went crazy.
Well, that was where the controversy even started from. Was like she had attacked like a Brazilian nominee for the award because she accused the social media team of the Brazilian actress of undermining her chances of winning an award. And then Brazilian people got really pissed off and started mining for dirt, and it took them 5 seconds to find it. So it's like, yeah, it was all political maneuvering behind the scenes, and it began with something incredibly petty and ended up almost starting a war between France and Mexico, which was very funny.
But then you had the whole Black Panther, where Chadwick Boseman was going to get the Oscar at the very end of it, which is why they usually do Best Female, Best Male, then Best Picture. They switched it to be Best Male at the end when Chadwick Boseman died. Then people must have voted, but Anthony Hopkins won at the end, didn't he? And they just shut down. They literally didn't even let him give a speech. They just shut down the event because he wasn't supposed to win. Did anyone see that Oscar?
I remember hearing
I think I missed that one.
I think I remember hearing about that. The
Well,
Oscars
yeah.
has been bullshit for years, though.
Well, Anthony Hopkins being cool, he kind of gave a speech about Chadwick Boseman, but he was in Wales because he wasn't expecting to win. So he's just in the middle of a field kind of giving an acceptance speech. Because I think people knew this was just Chadwick Boseman died. I keep saying Bowman because he's African. But anyway, but the thing is, though, it's like it's been politicized for ages. What was Will Smith? He brought up all that drama. Then he slapped Chris Rock because his wife looked at him.
That'll
He made a
haunt
joke.
forever.
Have you seen that video? Is what he makes a joke of his wife, and then his wife stares at Will Smith to go and slap him.
God, I feel so bad for that man, and not all
Everything.
at the same time.
It's such
Like,
a weird
yeah.
thing. That was like my uncles fighting in front of the whole world. That's what it felt like because I grew up with both those guys. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, guys, what are you doing? I was following the entire story as I made it home. Like, it's got to be bullshit. But then when I saw the keep my wife's name out of your mouth part, I was like, oh my fucking god, this is actually legit. Like that. For anyone who thinks it was fake, like I don't think that was fake at all. Like that was.
It is such a
exposed
toxic
the nerve,
relationship,
man.
though, because like
Yeah.
she looks at him and like the subtext of that is like, you better do something or I'm going to go sleep with somebody else again.
he was laughing at first. He was laughing with the joke, like, oh, yeah, let's play it out. And then he kind of stewed on it for a second. And then the boss gave him the look and he went nuts. So their relationship, the fact that he went from down with the joke to literally offended on her behalf to the point where he's going to throw away his whole legacy to pretty much, it's crazy, man.
Well, it was actual bullying on display because Jada obviously bullies him on the sidelines. She bullied him, and then Will Smith transferred that over to Chris Rock, who I felt sorry for. And I was ashamed. Exactly. I was really pissed off at the Oscars that they even gave him the award at the end. Maybe give him an award, but he should have been ejected from the venue.
Well, that was during the whole black people are being denied Oscars. That was the whole
5 minutes
controversy.
later. That's crazy.
Because that was the thing. The whole event was meant for him. And if anyone else did it, but he was the one complaining for years. You heard that conversation with Michael Caine, and they were asking him about why not black people are getting Oscars. And he goes, it's just wait your time. Just wait your time. It'll come.
It's true, man. Stop complaining about it.
But then
But
the
that's
reaction
why
was a
they throw
bit
him out.
like wild for it as well, because then they were talking about taking the Oscar away from him and then prohibiting Will Smith from like working or like being nominated for anything else ever again for a time. And it's like, will he ever get any more work? It didn't last very long, but that was the conversation for a little bit, which is like inconvenient for the Oscars when you consider some of the other people they've given awards to who've done objectively worse things than slapping Chris Rock.
Roman
Just like,
Polanski.
yeah, Roman Polanski, like freaking everyone there being best friends with Harvey Weinstein. Like there are people there who've done some dark shit, and you still gave them awards, and they're still allowed to work.
But that's all hidden.
Standards all over the place.
That's
100%.
That was live on camera. He bitch slapped. Well, he didn't bitch slap. He was a bitch who slapped Chris Rock, and then Chris Rock did the best revenge ever. He waited a year, build up, and then did a gigantic speech calling Will Smith a bitch.
He fucking roasted him. It's actually funny. And I'm like, that's such a fucking brilliant business move. Take one of the most incredible events ever, hold your tongue, be a man, and make all that money off of it. Like that's how Chris played it.
Well,
He won. He wins in the end because he made the special, made the money, and Will's reputation has been flip-flopping ever since.
Chris is the only person who left that Oscar ceremony with his dignity intact. Because not only did Will Smith and Jada embarrass themselves, but everybody in the auditorium did as well, because they gave Will Smith a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And some people were even crying when he was crying. And I was like, fuck me.
It was nuts. And Chris is in the back, just like, this motherfucker just slapped me in front of my friends and family and everyone who's ever known me. And if you watch the clip slowly, he has this moment of what the fuck, and then he remembers he's at the Oscars and goes back to like being professional. He almost swung back. Like it's just crazy. I couldn't believe that because I love both those dudes, and it just sucks that they, there's going to be people who know them for that more than all the stuff they've achieved in their careers, which sucks.
Yeah, Will Smith, during his speech, insulted Chris Rock by going, "You don't insult a man's family," and everyone's clapping. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's so fucked up, man. When you have the family component, a lot of people will just immediately side with you. But you can't go up and smack somebody like that. You just can't.
But
yeah,
he didn't
in the room sided with him, right? But like most of the audience only watches these award shows to hope that a celebrity gets insulted by the host. That's the only thing that's entertaining about them.
Well,
that's the Golden Globes.
Honest question to everyone in the chat and the panel: What would you be more likely to do? Lose your temper unjustly in defense of your loved one, or make a shitty joke about someone else's wife in public? Which would you more likely do?
Oh, the latter.
Yeah.
Really?
I'd insult people's wives all day. I'd do it for free.
I wouldn't have made that crappy joke the way he did it. Like,
he didn't.
I don't agree with Will, but I understand him. I could have lost my temper.
It was supposed to be it's a very lean. It's a G.I. Jane joke. It's literally the most tepid joke.
It's so tame.
Instead of calling her like a bald fuck or she looks like a testicle.
Well, he said, "Yeah, we're looking forward to you in G.I. Jane 2." The joke wasn't at her expense.
You know what?
It was just that film bombed. So good luck. Yeah.
For me,
I would have called her a brown testicle.
It was making the joke about her in public, but they have a history, the three of them as well. So it's not just the joke. You got to remember, this goes back to the 90s. He was on Fresh Prince. Will and Chris have been kind of button heads for a long time, and it's just it all crescendoed in that moment. And I just feel like Chris should have known better than to make a joke about Jada. He shouldn't have been. I feel like the only person there who wasn't truly shocked was Jada and Chris.
That's the other side of things. I've seen people in chat say it's comedy and he's a comedian. That's sort of my position on this. Like that is the job of the host, is to stand up there and to be funny and to tell jokes. And you've got people sitting opposite you who need jokes told at their expense because they don't get enough criticism in most of their day-to-day lives. It was, if anything, too tame a joke. Because you said, like, what would you be more likely to do? I think, like, could you honestly tell me that you were standing on a stage giving like a comedic presentation and Jada Pinkett Smith was sitting opposite you, that you would tell a tame joke? I don't think I'd have told a tame joke. There's so much material. It would be a crime to waste it.
That's what I mean. It's so much of this would have been different if the joke actually landed or had like a little bit more of effect to it. And I'm including their history into it when I'm saying all this because it's just really strange for him to take that risk. And Will laughed. Will laughed at the joke at first and then completely switched it up. It's so strange. That's what I mean. Like I understand. Like Chris Will did the wrong thing, but I totally understand that impulse. Like you just wanted. He's the type of person that wants to irrationally defend a loved one. It just sucks that loved one doesn't deserve it. She's a fucking goblin.
No, I don't think it was. It wasn't about defending a loved one. It was about, oh God, she's gonna hit me if I don't hit him.
She's gonna hit me.
She's gonna get the slipper. So I need to slap Chris Rock. Well, and then what's funny though is afterwards where she's giving an interview and she's going, "Yeah, I used to fuck our son's friends. How does that make you feel, Will?"
And he's there like
terrible.
He's there like seizuring up, trying to react from it. You remember? He's like twitching and everything. Like, why? I don't ever want to see you in that position, Will. Like live on TV, like trying to process the most disgusting cheating I've ever seen.
It's insane. He was how big Will Smith was in the 90s and 2000s. He was everywhere. Men in Black, Fresh Prince. He had his songs were everywhere.
Wild West.
He just this harpy who originally wanted Tupac. She wanted Tupac, but plans didn't go the way she wanted, and he died. So she went, okay, my sugar daddy's gone. I need to find a young, prosperous man to take advantage of. And she hooked into Will when he was younger and he was more impressionable. Because she is the fucking nutcase. Because you look at Will Smith's other kids from other relationships.
Yes, his first son
normal.
Cool. Everything that we like about Will, I feel like his first son guy. He's normal but then he's got this weird second son. It's just, I don't know, with Jada's kid. Her genes just fucked everything up, man.
How would you be if your mother was fucking your friends? I would be on so many drugs, on so many fights.
That kind of explains why he's so fucked up. Like he grew up in that with those two, The daughter seems all right. She's cool. No,
is she?
Is she? I don't know.
She's also a little bit loony. Yeah.
Is she?
Yeah, she's a little bit loony like her brother.
Okay. All right, I take it back then. They're all fucked. Will needs to get out of there and stick to his first son. The only one who doesn't want to be famous is the only one that's cool, like Will.
The main discussion
almost
did
like
go
Hollywood
off the
does things to people.
How did we get onto this topic?
Yeah, I don't even know what were we talking about before.
We were talking about this.
Oh, Scarlett. Yeah, I have no.
Oh,
idea.
the Oscars. Yeah.
Oh, the Oscar. I can see it now. Yeah.
How did we get here, Nia? Good question.
We do have a few more topics to get to. The next one, we don't really talk about Andor much on this stream, so I threw it in here because apparently it's really good. I wouldn't know because I'm not watching it. So
9.8 for Mandalorian.
Well, that's the depressing part of this story. So the nice part of the story is that Andor at one point held the record. It might still hold the record for having 4 consecutive episodes ranking 9.5 or higher. I don't know that is still the case, but because all of those were from season 2 as well. But obviously, season 1 had a number of very highly rated ones. The really depressing one, though, is that the highest rated of all Star Wars television things of all time ever is fucking The Mandalorian season 2, episode 8, which is awful garbage bullshit that's been rated that highly yet because of the Luke Skywalker scene,
people crying over that
scene. Tragic mistake. As a scene, that one.
He fucking fights a bunch of droids, which is completely meaningless. And he shows up, he's plastic, he doesn't ask any questions. Like he's not even human. Boba Fett standing right there, and he doesn't ask, how the fuck you get out of the Sarlacc pit, bro? Like so many questions I hate that scene.
And then the next season completely undid this ending where Grogu goes off with Luke, and then he just comes back.
But he comes back in the Book of Boba Fett, which nobody watched, which is like, if anyone paid attention. If you only watch The Mandalorian, Grogu disappears, and then he's just back for reasons. Yeah. And then The Mandalorian season 3 has to waste time on exposition because no one watched the Book of Boba Fett. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, this shit happened, but you didn't bother watching it.
Yeah,
what was the actor to Boba Fett? Tamara Morrison. He said, maybe I can take over half his fucking show.
Who is this guy? He's taking over my show. What's going on here? Like he was complaining about it, and he was saying how he was actually one of the only people, like Mark Hamill, that complained about the writing for their actors, saying Boba Fett shouldn't be talking this much. You should be more stoic. We're missing the vibe that worked in the OT. And their idea was just to make Boba Fett this loser and have Fennec do everything that Boba Fett should have been doing. Like that fucking people. I like the actress, so it wasn't as frustrating. But she basically was Boba Fett. She did all the fighting, did all the sabotaging, anything. While he's just like, sleeping in the back to tank. Like it was so pathetic, man. What they did to Boba Fett, like, yeah, it's bad. She did everything. She was basically, yeah, he's sleeping. Oh, my ribs. Oh,
every episode,
he's doing everything.
He was asleep. Like she had her entire stomach ripped out and just replaced, because you can just replace your organs. And she was left in the middle of the desert for God knows how long.
Yeah.
I don't know why she wasn't eaten or bled out. He just found her, and then he just comes across a cyberpunk fucking droid repair things that goes, "Don't worry, we can do very extensive body modification here." In the middle of Tatooine.
Literally, like, you have to pretend that never happened in order for the rest of the galaxy to function at all. Like, in Andor, one of the strongest episodes of Andor is predicated on the fact that Luthen stabs himself and is put in hospital, kept on life support, while like the ISB want him to interrogate him, and Claire has to go and try and kill him before they get any information out of him. But now it turns out that if she just hyperspaced over to Tatooine, he could have got an entirely new stomach and he would have been fine.
Or if he just took
a private hospital on Coruscant can't do that.
If you just took a nap like Sabine, and then you're just completely healed.
Oh God, he just wakes up. Oh no, I'm fine. My species has 5 stomachs.
Holy shit, this series is so backwards. Everything's
because
fucked up.
The whole body modification machines keeping you alive is interesting, because Darth Vader has the most expensive top-of-the-line equipment, and they can't replace his lungs. He has to have his lungs be worked by a machine. And we're talking the best the Empire can do. But fuck Tatooine, new body, who cares? New stomach, new arms,
replacing hands. Like Vader losing his hand and Luke losing his hand and having robotic hands was like almost symbolic for father and son. I like that. But a stomach, like really? Like what are we doing? Like you can't fucking just do that, man. It's so stupid. Yeah, organs and shit, man. If Reva got stabbed twice, run through it with a lightsaber. It's just they've broken this series completely, man. I don't know what they're thinking.
Which is great, because I mean, you just have to forget that all of that happens. And I would be quite happy just pretending that the only thing Disney Star Wars has ever done, or the only 2 things they've ever done, is just Andor and Rogue One. Because if that were the case, and they'd only done those things so far, it would be in such a healthy position. So much healthier. Because you can watch Andor from the beginning all the way through to the end of Return of the Jedi, and it's not seamless, because Rogue One wasn't entirely written by Tony Gilroy, and so everyone drops 100 IQ points in the space of a week. But it looks very, very similar. Like, tonally, it's all the same. Like, Andor is the closest you're going to get, realistically, from Disney Star Wars to the tone of the old original trilogy. Nothing else Disney has done compares to it. It's all just childish Dave Filoni bullshit.
Andor fits in with Rogue One way better than TFA fits in with TLJ, and that's literally the next movie. So who gives a fuck? It's you know what I mean?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it's fucked. Like literally, for people who forget, it ends with Finn getting stabbed upside his spine with a lightsaber, and it's a dramatic thing. He literally gets paralyzed for Rey, and Rian Johnson just said, "Nah, like just no." He just fucking wakes up and bumped his head on the tube, and the only question he has is, "Where's Rey?" Yeah, he's got cum squirting out everywhere. And all he wants to know is where's Rey. He doesn't even fucking ask. His spine is never mentioned again. Like it's insane.
And then Leia opened a door from outer space.
She fucking flew back in. It's just
she flew and then opened a door from outer.
They opened it and they just cut because they don't want to show the. Yeah, Poe should have died like right there in that scene. They all should have been sucked out. That is one of the 2 times that they ignore the laws of gravity. Pretty much within the first 5 minutes of TFA or TLJ, sorry. Fuck that movie, man. Oh man.
Well, but as Dave Filoni, Kathleen Kennedy was talking about stepping back. She was talking about stepping back and having a successor, but she still wants to puppeteer them like fucking Palpatine, but shit. So it's clearly her successor is going to be Dave Filoni.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's been elevated and promoted already. He's chief creative officer now. He got promoted after Ahsoka came out, which is just, my God.
But I mean, don't these numbers mean something? Like Platoon, in your opinion, has Gilroy earned the chance to like at least compete with him, or are they that blind to what they like? If they can't see the difference between Andor and Ahsoka, we're doomed. we're fucking
I
doomed.
mean, I think that they'll see the difference in the sense that there's always a part of most writers that wants critical acclaim, and I think lots of people will see that. It's probably the only good thing that might come out of Andor long term is that it might inspire other writers to say, well, I want some of that acclaim for myself, so I'll try a bit harder.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the problem there is that like Dave Filoni is incapable, just constitutionally incapable of doing it. So he might try, but it will come across as the most awful plagiarized bullshit, and it won't make any sense. Which is why I was kind of disappointed that so many characters survived at the end of Andor season 2, because we've seen what he did with Mon Mothma in Ahsoka. Like she goes from being the most brilliant character in Andor to the one saying, "Oh yeah, the New Republic should just randomly disarm. Nothing can possibly go wrong with that." But now we've also got, Claire is alive, and you've got technically Dedra is still alive as well. There are people he could come back and pilfer, and I really fucking hope he doesn't, because he's going to ruin them.
Oh,
and
he
we'll have to
will.
pretend that doesn't happen as well.
Oh,
But
that's
the question of whether Gilroy should actually be given, I don't think Gilroy would take the job. Is the answer to that question, though? I mean, he's not a massive Star Wars fan. Not that you would tell, because he's probably got the most faith for and respect for the canon. He did the most to fit into it. But I don't think he would want to take on the job of just writing Star Wars for the rest of his life when he's got to deal with complete cretins all around him.
Yeah, but he's a fan of stories. He's a fan of logic and characters. Like, I don't need you to be a Star Wars fan at this point. Like, it's over. Just give me someone who can write a story, and that's the biggest thing. Like
yeah, but then you've got Dave Filoni going, why don't you put Ahsoka in it? Every
put
5 seconds.
Ahsoka in it is a solution to everything. Just shove her into. He fucking loves that orange bitch, and she's so like lazy and like I'm sure the character was more interesting in like wherever the hell she came from, Clone Wars or something. But her show was garbage. No.
I'm told not. No, I'm told Clone Wars is quite shit from people who've actually said. I've tried to watch Clone Wars and I really struggled to get past like the first 10 minutes. But from people who have seen the whole thing, I am reasoned and I trust these people. It's not a particularly good show. Neither is Rebels, which of course introduces us to time travel, which makes everything so much more broken.
This is why I stick to the OT, the prequels, Andor, and Rogue One. You keep that little tiny nugget, and you just ignore the rest, and you're good. Like I don't need all that crap. It just makes it makes it confusing, man. Like the continuity and everything.
Anakin and Obi-Wan always run into Count Dooku. They always run into him, and then it doesn't work when you get to the movie and he says, "Our powers have doubled since the last time we meet," because he met him last week.
Just saw you, bro. It's pretty shit.
Yeah, and General Grievous, they show up and then he runs away, and then it just repeats the same formula every episode. The only slight interesting thing is some of the clone relationship. That's it. They fleshed the clones out a little bit, but not a lot.
I've never been interested to even check it out. You kind of just want to keep that Star Wars world just the way you want it. Just the prequel. It's just not necessary for me.
You might have to though when Ahsoka season 2 comes out, because it's doing that whole Mortis arc from one of the cartoon shows, and like to really understand what the point of it is. Some familiarity with the Filoni shows might be essential. So I'll check them out one day.
Oh,
but
God. They teleport from one galaxy to the other.
Thrawn hyped up for me for like how many years just to have that coping asshole that they had in Ahsoka season 1. You know what I mean? Like he was just, I couldn't fucking believe that shit.
When Andor gives you a character as like Thrawn as Thrawn should be, Major Partagaz is what Thrawn should be. Like such an excellent guy, like brilliantly performed.
Game of Thrones actor as well.
Written.
That was
I mean, he's a proper Old Testament Qyburn in Game of Thrones. He's Thomas More in Wolfhall and stuff. He's Anton Lesser is the name. He's a brilliant actor, but the character himself is just so hyper competent and also complex as well. He's everything Thrawn should be, and yet intimidating.
He's just a dude, but he's a great character that they created. Where Thrawn is this big legacy behind him, but look what happens when he's written like shit. You know what I mean?
Fucking idiot.
Holy crap. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, wait, do I have to? I remember literally pulling back one of his scenes because I couldn't believe he was coping still. Like, this can't be real. This is like, it's just a joke. And like within the episode, oh my God.
He was always going, "Oh, they blew up our ship. Haha, I meant to do that.
Yeah, it was a part of my plan."
All
his plans failed. And he's just like, no, that's actually what I wanted. Like,
but it is the really frustrating thing though that's come out of this is that like, you don't get that many people throwing quite so frequently the words "it's not Star Wars" at Ahsoka, and you don't hear them doing it quite so often at The Mandalorian. For some reason, Andor is the one that incredibly boring people is the one that they've chosen to say no, this isn't Star Wars, even though it's
But
like the most Star Wars of everything Disney has ever done. It's probably the most Star Wars we've had, arguably, since the 80s.
I was
And
just saying this
but
was
Ahsoka can be as absolutely retarded as you like, and people will criticize it, but it won't be because it's not Star Wars. It'll be for some other
Exactly.
reason.
It's
They'll
so
say, well, oh,
fucking
Star
bizarre.
Wars, Andor doesn't have lightsabers and spaceships, and it's supposed to have high adventure. That's what Star Wars is. But Ahsoka has all of those things, and it's shit. So that's
Yeah.
not the reason you don't like it. Usually, when these people start criticizing Andor for being boring, they can't tell you what's happening in a single scene they're criticizing. And what they're doing is just conveying their failure or disengagement from it. It's fair enough if you can't be bothered to watch it, but it's a you problem, not a show problem if that's the case. If you want Star Wars to carry on being shit like it currently is, go back to watch Ahsoka. Enjoy Mandalorian and Grogu when that comes out next year.
Exactly.
But
Nobody
if you
mentioned
want it to get better, reward the good thing we've had, for fuck's sake.
100%, man. They can't call themselves Star Wars fans unless they're going to open up their minds to this type of thing. Like Andor has the best action scenes I've seen in any Star Wars property in years. From the opening, the very beginning, just disarming the guy and being clever enough to lure him in, say, "Hey, come in my pocket." I fucking love that scene. I want to talk about it in a video at one point because it's like I'm so sick of people forgetting that guns are ranged weapons, and that was one of the few times you see someone be clever about it. The Eye of Aldana, I think the name is. That whole scene was one of the few times I've been impressed with the TIE fighter chase in fucking years. And
Yeah.
Cynic was mentioning like he's not a big Star Wars guy when I asked him if he'd seen Andor, and I was just like, I find it hilarious that so many people are talking about Andor as if, oh, it's not Star Wars, when this is the one fucking thing that's actually quality. So it's like, if you're a fan of good stories and sci-fi and realistic characters, then you should watch Andor. It shouldn't be about just, is it a Star Wars thing? Because these people have this idea of what Star Wars is, and it screwed everything up for us. It has to have this. It has to have like the Acolyte had all those things. It was still shit. It was one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. Absolute garbage. What they did to Soul is up there with Luke Skywalker, Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen, Wanda Maximoff, like some of the worst character assassinations I've ever seen in my entire life. So what they did to Soul is like unspeakable. But it had lightsabers in it, right? So you guys are pleased. And so I just don't know. I just wish Andor got more respect just for being quality and respecting the world, which should be the most important thing for you with Star Wars, because like characters are gonna come and go, but the world that Star Wars is a part of is what made it so addicting, right? At least for me. And
Well,
Andor
Disney's
made the
only
Empire
made-
respectable again.
Well, Disney has only succeeded in creating multiple fandoms, like the Snyder fans. You have the Acolyte fans instead.
Yes, yes.
So you have a bunch of multiple fandoms all fighting each other because most people have a shit version of Star Wars with the sequels. You got the prequel fans, you got the OT fans, and the OT fans and Andor fans sort of cross-pollinate. So they're roughly the same. But you've got like multiple separate fandoms all going, I want Star Wars to be shit. No, I would like it to be good. So that's basically where we're at.
To admit that it's good and to say it's not Star Wars, but not be able to define what Star Wars is and not even be able to reference a scene in the show. It's just frustrating.
Yeah. That's an interesting line from chat. Andor bros are the new Snyder bros. I really don't think that's the line you want to be pushing. You're not gonna win that argument. It's just,
boy.
Yeah.
It'd be more Acolyte, wouldn't it? Oh, we could have got Plagueis, the dirty tramp in the cave.
Yeah, that fucking loser. Look like a turd. Why would they lose such a they waste such a cool character on a fucking cave shot? Like it wasn't even a good shot. Like, oh god. Like the shot of Vader getting put in the mask in Revenge of the Sith and taking the first breath, fantastic. They ruin it a few seconds later with the no! But, you know what I mean? But the shot, at least if they held it there, would have been good. There's no way to save turd Plagueis. He looked dry and fucking washed up. Like I don't want anything to do with that guy.
It would be funny when he goes, "What happened to Padme?" And he goes, "Well, what did you expect? You fucking choked your pregnant wife." What do you think was going to happen?
But no, the problem is that Andor's too dark for Star Wars, you see. Like, choking pregnant wives is fine. Killing children on screen, that's fine. But you can't possibly say the rape word in Star Wars because that's just too dark and serious for Star Wars.
That derailed so much of the conversation. It's so lame. Like, tell me what happened in the arc. Yeah. I feel like no one told me anything about that whole arc except rape.
Some people said he should have used a different words, like, "Oh no, he tried to struggle me."
That was the funniest bit. Yeah, use a Star Wars word for it.
A Star Wars term. I heard that being batted down on like 3 different podcasts.
Like,
nah.
What does that even mean? He giggity my geschmoigen.
Oh, jeez. Scruffy looking nerf herder. Like, see, when they do funny Star Wars terms, it's usually like it fits. I can believe that this is in there, but if you're just gonna try to invent a word to replace rape, I don't know. I don't think it would have worked.
He tried to put his blaster in my holster.
God.
It is. I just say, yeah. Like, see, even like the tame suggestion, which has said, how about he attacked me instead? Again, it would really just help if you paid attention to the scene and what is happening in the show. It is a direct appeal to lore. It is an appeal to lore that the Empire claims to uphold, and it is an appeal to lore that the Empire then ignores, because the truth about totalitarian systems is that they do not abide by the laws they make you live under. That is what is happening in the scene. It's also very important for a character moment because it sets Bix back off on her journey to reclaim her own agency. Like, another word would have been less impactful and told you less about that scene. It would have been a worse scene for a different word. Even if it's not a shitty Star Wars word, it would have been a worse scene for that word. Just pays to pay attention to what the show's telling you. It's not actually that subtle. One of the reasons like comparing Andor fans to Snyder fans doesn't work. I'm not saying you have to have a massively high IQ to understand Andor. I'm just saying you need to pay attention to what the show quite clearly tells you is happening. At least with like Snyder stuff, when they say either you don't get it or you're not intelligent enough or you don't understand the themes, they are objectively wrong, and you can prove that because you can just describe the scene to them. Most people who are making these criticisms of Andor cannot do the same thing back. You don't have to be smarter. You just have to wake up a little bit. I get that, like, we're all used to watching our phones half the time, and we've kind of been encouraged to do this. Is why Netflix does its whole, oh, we're going to have just characters tell you what's happening now because you're not paying attention to the scene. We've all sort of been conditioned to watch films casually, and if you're not in the mood to watch something non-casually, that's fine. But again, that's you, not the show that's the problem. So, end of.
She should have said, he tried to make me ignite his purple lightsaber.
Fucking acolyte.
We do not have any other topics to get to because next was Sinners, and we discussed that pretty thoroughly. And and the Batman was in there, but we discussed the Batman some too. I guess there was one more thing I could pull up that doesn't matter at all. I threw it in here just in case we didn't have enough topics, but we always do. This is the new look of Jason in the Jason universe that's coming out.
There's a Jason universe?
Yes.
Jason universe?
Yes.
Would it be?
So,
what does that mean?
So there was.
Nothing but Jasons.
There
Jasons
was like
everywhere.
Variants?
There was like
Get
an
your shot
8-year... but they're all Jason.
Just be silent.
Please.
Bunch of silence.
There's like an 8-year
can't
copyright
speak.
lawsuit that happened, and so now they've had to actually split away Jason from the Friday the 13th and Crystal Lake entity completely. Like, the name is gone. Crystal Lake is gone. So one guy owns Jason and one guy owns Friday the 13th, the name.
That's part of the reason he can't be in Dead by Daylight as well. Like, there's this whole controversy with games and whatnot. It's really tricky.
So what they're doing is creating this whole Jason universe, I guess, but it's supposed to encompass, comics, games, movies, etc. But I don't know how they're going to do it because Crystal Lake is like inexorably connected to him. I have no idea what you're going to do. I mean, they sent him to space once. But
well, they'll just go, let's go on Thursday the 12th or Saturday the 14th.
Yeah, Saturday the 14th.
You're right though, Cynic. Like, we've done everything with this dude. He's been like, he's fought psychics. He's gone to space. He's gone to Manhattan. Like, what more are we gonna do? Like, it's just they've tapped out all the ideas. He's fought Freddy. What else can they really like?
He went to hell, for God's sake. I don't know, man. What are you gonna do? But this is the new look, and I'm a fan of this schlock, and I don't really like the look. I think it's
too clean.
It's the mask is like a cartoon. It's like a Fortnite Jason,
It's just it looks too clean. If you're familiar with the different actors that play Jason, like Kane Hodder, you familiar with him?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a certain thickness you need to play Jason, and this guy just looks too skinny, posture's too good, shirt's too clean. It's just
you're standing up too straight.
What are you doing, bro? I don't know.
Yeah, but that's essentially the last topic I had. I normally throw a bunch in, but we had.
I've never
Let me
heard
see.
of Jason being called
Batman.
thick.
Neither have I. I was kind of surprised that Chad. I
Dude.
did that.
Not thick enough for Jason, man.
Kane Hodder and Jason Goes to Hell. He was a thick boy. That
Yeah,
guy
he's
like bulked up
chungus.
on fucking burgers and fries,
Mhm.
dude. He was a big dude.
I like my Jason with something to grab on.
Yeah.
You do notice it if you can see the pictures. Like his head just is perfect for Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. Kane Hodder was the quintessential Jason. Then they changed him for the Freddy versus Jason movie, which I was really disappointed
That's
with.
the one thing
back
that
in the day.
movie's missing, the proper Jason. He's
The
just
right
his
guy
head,
to
his
play
head
him.
was this big. Like it just
Yeah.
you need that thick, hotter fucking melon.
The thick Hodder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for him in that way because I remember seeing this picture. It was Candyman, Freddy, and like another iconic hero or horror villain. I can't remember. And then you have Jason. It's like, oh man, like you don't get to be like Robert Englund is the Freddy Krueger. He is
Yeah.
Freddy to the day he dies. Jason is not really going to have that because you're sharing it.
Were you thinking of Michael Myers from Halloween?
No, because he's under a mask as well. I think he has the same problem.
Hmm.
Yeah. I can't remember who I was thinking of though. But
I don't
just
know. The
a
dude
picture
who
of mine.
played him in the latest trilogy of movies was fucking perfect as
Really?
Michael Myers. That dude really nailed it. When you're a fan of those movies, you can't just throw anyone under there and have it work necessarily. Because they used to have stunt people do it for Jason and Michael Myers and stuff. Just throw like stunt guys in there, and some of them actually put effort into their body language and everything, and some of them didn't. And you can really tell the difference. Like that type of shit really matters. And the dude who played him in the new trilogy was fantastic.
The clickers in The Last of Us do a really good job at the body language and the twitchiness and whatnot. And I just it's annoying that it's being wasted on like Ellie and Dina and whatnot. Kind of annoying with that. The Last of Us is fucking disappointment.
Holy shit, do we have some super chats to get to? So I will start pulling these up. So Istophobos, Plutes, you gonna make fair use meth chicken a thing?
What is that? Oh, would that be for Minecraft? Meth chicken. I'd have to find a good meth chicken. I'm sure I could do that. There are farms near me.
Nick Tomato says, no human being does that, you creepy weirdo at Reaper. This was from an hour and a half ago. Do you remember what this was referring to?
Could be in reference to anything he does.
Anything.
Very broad topic. Be more specific.
Big T for 20 American dollars. Thank you. The Last of Us Combined is the classic re-release of the Last of Us games. In this version, the word cordyceps has been changed to fungal impacted person, and the entire cast has been digitally replaced by golf clubs.
There's only 2 games. They've been re-released 6 times, so 8 in total. There's The Last of Us Remastered, Last of Us Part 1, Last of Us Part 1 PC port, Last of Us Part 2, Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and now Last of Us Complete Edition with both Part 1
Right.
and 2.
That's the new meta for games, man.
I put it in my video. I was like, fucking hell, this game, one good game, one shit game. Way to ride that tiger, man.
Dragon Balls D. Horror must be the hardest genre to write due to the stupidity required for the plot to happen. Right down there with rom-coms and sports movies.
This is exactly what I was saying earlier. People have been conditioned to think horrors are just stupid naturally. Like they've watched 4 of them, and it drives me nuts.
Oh, I think ever since I was a little kid, I was watching horror movies. Whether that's good or bad is another conversation. But I knew there were good movies, but I still was drawn to the genre of schlock. I loved slasher movies because they were just over the top, and I loved monsters. And essentially, your main villain is a monster in some sort of way. So they nostalgically strike a chord for me. Like I can still throw on, we did with Mahler, Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. That movie's a piece of shit, but I still like it.
You watch it with a smile because
Yeah.
horror fans understand it's an acquired taste, but if
Mhm.
you love it, you love it. I'd watch my mom and my sister watch shit horror movie after shit horror movie, waiting to find a good one. I'm like, what is wrong with
That's
you?
what
two?
you
And
do. Yeah, you're like,
they
when
couldn't
you find
explain
that
it. It was an
gem.
addiction.
Yeah.
They can watch 30 to find that decent one that gives them a chill.
Yes.
Horror fans are just addicts. That's pretty much what it is. You know,
true.
looking for that next horror hit because it's hard to find. And most horror fans will tell you 99% of horror movies are shit. So when you
Mhm.
find one that's good, you want to like yell it off the rooftops. It's incredible because it's a hard thing to achieve. But people have been conditioned to think that horror means crappy writing, crappy plot, stupid characters because we need to create scares. So we need stupid people. And like, I can't stand it. The whole genre has been weakened by that.
Still the Busta, you're torturing a suspect for information. Which media do you use? She-Hulk, Velma, or The Last of Us Season 2, but only the scenes with Bella Ramsey?
Maybe Velma.
Velma, yeah.
Yeah, Velma for sure.
She-Hulk's entertaining in its own way. And yeah, between Bella and Velma, Velma was not even worth reviewing.
Actually, Bella Ramsey in the room, and she just stares at you. She doesn't say a word. She just gets slowly closer and closer to you.
You know those Animorph covers with the animals? I saw one of a potato turning into her. Fucking,
I saw
that. She's a decent actress, but she's fucking odd looking, and it's like really off-putting that she's being forced to play this character that she looks nothing like. And I find it amazing that you have the Game of Thrones comparison where everyone loved her. Now with this, everyone hates her. What do you think it is? It's just casting. Let's get back to proper casting.
The problem is the show's also so boring.
Yeah.
So all you have is close-ups of her face. That's like 50% of the show.
I noticed that they keep zooming right in.
The only thing you can talk about is how odd her face is. How asymmetrical. Is it asymmetrical or symmetrical?
It's not
symmetrical.
symmetrical.
Asymmetrical would be. It's not symmetrical. But it's like, you're right, because like nothing fucking happens. Even episode 6. I think we've had 6 episodes, and there's been like 2 full-length cover songs in them, which have achieved nothing.
Yeah.
What is this? Arcane season 2? Like, what are we doing? Music videos? Come on.
Well, one of them is Ellie gets to play
Take
the
On Me.
Aha song, Take On Me, and then another one is Joel gets to play. And at least that one kind of has a little bit of character stuff going on in it, but it's still like, it's so like, that is an example of a boring show. Nothing happens. There's nothing to learn, and it takes so long to tell you nothing.
Yeah, like she's got a big cast of friends to kill, and she's only just managed to kill one. And next episode, I think it's gonna basically Abby's gonna take over, and then that'll be next season. So if this is the only season with Ellie as the main character, then she's done nothing. She's killed one person and a few innocents, but they'll be forgotten about. They won't be relevant.
Yeah, I remember watching people's playthrough of The Last of Us, and like I watched as a few other people play it, and it's just them on a horse, just fucking yapping about nonsense. And how is this going to be sustainable for a show, especially after killing the dynamic of Joel and Ellie? Ellie, zombies. That was a really good recipe, and they fucked it all up.
They're identical characters, so there's nothing to bounce off. There's no disagreements. There's no conflict. There's no ideological differences. It's just 2 annoying liberal feminists going, "Isn't this amazing that we're lesbians?" And they're like, "I know."
So they think that's appealing to way more people than it actually is. We need characters, bro.
It's creepy that this is written by a 40 to 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
He just goes, lesbians are just like, hey, I might have a virus that'll kill people. Let's fuck.
That's what I'm saying. Like the sense of fear of the season is just out the window. There's no tension when it comes to the zombies. Like that whole scene where they're making the joke, like like in episode 1 with Ellie and Dina. I'm like, you're done. You're. I know the Joel thing is about to be wasted, but now you're ruining the tension of the show with the clickers. Like this is such a failure. I don't know.
Yeah,
what
they'll just talk. They're just talking out loud in the middle of Seattle in hostile territory, not afraid of infected or the WLF or scars.
It's fucking trash, man. That's what we were just talking about with the Riri trailer, where she gets gas. She's in an elevator. She gets gas bombed, and she's almost like has an attitude to the fucking voice that's talking to her. Why aren't you afraid of your life? You're not worried.
My life.
Yeah, man. It's just I don't. Ellen Ripley going down to save Newt. She was still afraid. They didn't have to make her unstoppable. I'm just sick of it. Sorry to this super chat.
That was a tangent.
Yeah, we're just yapping. What's the super chat about? Where are you muted?
I'm muted.
Yeah,
it's Katie and Andy, our friends that were on last week. Hold my dual shot. Great stream. Is that what the color purple is about? Never seen it. That would be the what'd you call it? The purple.
The purple pussy.
Purple pussy.
That's what, I was looking at it the whole time thinking, is she talking about the purple? While me and Reaper are talking to each other, I'm thinking the whole time, she referencing the purple pussy? Because I'm claiming that shit. We coined that tonight. BSUP for sure. It's us. Yeah, The Color Purple is one of the many movies that does culture representation effectively instead of just pandering and lecturing and boring you to death. And purple pussy is what happens to girls when they haven't. There you go. There's your answer.
Nick Tomato Reaper, you're a creep.
Why? What did I do?
That was at 4:57. What were you doing at 4:57?
One was an hour and 10 minutes. One was 40 minutes. I don't know. What did I do?
Who knows? Keep track.
There are many reasons. Please explain why.
The man in black says, I always heard the lady equivalent was blue bean.
Purple pussy.
That's purple pussies rolls off the tongue.
It's just perfect. I don't know.
It's the alliteration.
Yeah. Blue balls, purple pussy. You want the two letters. Yeah, it just works. I kind of hope I invented that because I've never heard that before.
I had never heard that either, so I'm giving it to you.
There we go.
Mega Spider-Man says, to all, which two of the Star Wars shows do you most wish had been given the same level of care and quality as Andor?
Ooh, it's a good question. Kenobi's an easy pick. Kenobi's like, can we just? You should just say one because that's an obvious pick. Boba Fett over Mandalorian. I would prefer it to get a good Boba Fett story than to have ever seen Grogu.
I'd say like whichever one is going to be the most important for all Disney Plus streaming stuff going forward, like the one that's going to be giving you the main, I guess, Disney Plus story. So that's got to be either Mando or Ahsoka.
I forgot about it.
I'd be tempted to say Ahsoka because I think Ahsoka does a little. It has like, yeah, there's a little bit more going on in terms of like the rest of the galaxy almost in Ahsoka than there is in Mando. So like a good Ahsoka show, which is almost impossible to imagine, and Obi-Wan.
I can like bet everything I own that no one will say the Acolyte. It's just fucking funny.
Wish that was done. I like it just as it is. Thank you very much.
That show, holy hell.
That show is perfect the way it is.
Oh, man.
Mega Spider-Man also asks, have any of you seen the UK or Australian office? I've seen a bit of the UK. Have not decided
seen the UK.
Yeah.
I didn't know there's an Australian one.
Yes, it's the gender swapped one, right?
You don't need to see it. Please don't. I apologize on behalf of Australia.
How does it do it? Does it divert like the USA one did, or does it just do the UK one like shot for shot?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the trailers and a few clips, and it seems to riff off of the American office more so than the UK office.
See, it doesn't translate. That's why they had to change it for America. Plus, you've already seen the UK one. If you just do it like for like, you might as well just watch the original.
Exactly.
Vanessa says, I can't stand the James Gunn inserts really showing his ego.
The trailer is basically from James Gunn, and the behind the scenes was all about James Gunn. There's been nothing about David Cornsweet, whatever his name is.
Cornsweet's just being pushed to the side when he really...
Or James Gunn.
I care more about James Gunn than Superman or any other character. It's pretty fucked up.
What is Nerdrotic saying right now? This is Superman's James Gunn?
Yeah, pretty much. It's funny because it's true. His ego has really overshadowed the marketing.
Yeah, but you should be building David up into this huge actor, this big deal.
Yeah,
and I've heard nothing from him.
Not even an interview. when he's replacing one of the most beloved actors right now of our generation, like Henry Cavill. People for so many different reasons love that dude, and they should know that going in, that you need to build it, give us a reason to give this guy a chance. They've done nothing.
I think they're trying to make James Gunn a Christopher Nolan type, where his name will just make you show up to the theater. But that's obviously not going to work.
It's just not true, though. Like, I love Guardians 1, but what has he made other than that that's really that impressive? I'm actually asking. I'm not familiar with
the
his
few
work that
sceans in Guardians 3 with Rocket.
the fucking yeah, that's it.
The emotional manipulating scenes.
100%. And there we go with Ralph the dog again. We're doing that again. That's all he knows how to do is manipulate.
Yeah. Well, it's just the lowest hanging fruit. Like, oh, it's a cute animal. I don't want to see anything happen to that.
It's a doggo. It works, but I just hate when it's so obvious. You know, like.
But didn't he make evil Superman with, was it Bright?
Did he make
with
that?
The kid?
He wrote it. He wrote it and produced it, and I think his brother directed it, or one of his cousins.
That was disappointing.
I've never seen that.
It was disappointing. It's a really cool concept.
Yeah. Everyone loves it. Like, we've seen it with Homelander. We've seen it. Like, Evil Superman is something that people will try over again. But I don't think it's been done that well, other than like the first few episodes of The Boys. I wouldn't even say the first season, because I think Homelander was revealed as a maniac way too early. Homelander is one of the most wasted characters in the last like 10, 15 years, in my opinion. That guy's performance is so fucking glorious. He's so good. He's so fucking good at what he does. And they can't even write a character to match it. They just piss it away. Make him a fucking crying about memes in season 2. I just tapped out.
Rolando A. Ramirez says the problem is that Superman believes in America. They seem to be leaving that part out. But
why can't they make him convert to Islam? And he just twin towers a bunch of buildings.
Jesus.
There's my sequel.
Dragon Balls D says should have kept Cavill, but the new guy could get it.
It's crazy how they just found a younger looking Cavill. Like, it's just Timo Cavill pretty much. Like, I get it, but I don't know. I really think, like we were saying, it's a missed opportunity of not giving him interviews or something to build him up. He just has the look, and that's it. I don't know.
Maybe he's got like a really bad voice. Like, his real accent is like, hello. He's also got a lazy eye.
What?
He's got a lazy. If you notice, one of his eyes drifts off ever so slightly.
Does it?
I didn't notice that.
Superman with if you look, you won't be able not to see it now.
He was in the movie Pearl. Which is like one of my favorite movies ever made. And so next time I rewatch it, I'll look for his eye drift, I guess.
He's also in Twisters.
Yeah.
Oh, is he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the background. He's one of the he's what's his name? The main character. He's part of his crew. The guy, what's his name? Oh, it doesn't matter. But
does he have presence at least?
He's just a background character.
So the guy who's supposed to play Superman is a background character in Twisters? The fuck?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because if he's going to laser you, his eye is wonky.
It's slightly off. He'll miss. He'll miss.
He just you stand in the middle and they both go past you.
Oh shit.
Hemorrhoid Hurt says if Superman got emotional in front of my wife, he would have been told to fucking grow up, you pussy, and then she would tease you about that one incident for the next 25 years. Oh, hang on, that's me. Sorry, man.
Superman. I'm just saying, we were talking about like character writing and rules earlier, and I think a big easy comparison, just for like the satisfaction of rules, is Cyclops versus Superman. I find Cyclops infinitely more interesting in terms of his laser beams because he has to he has to pretty much wear the glasses, and there's a risk of like blowing up a fucking building full of kids if he fucking has his glasses knocked off. Like, there's so much more of a risk with his power, and it just makes it way more interesting seeing him manage that and balance that. And the scenes where he gets them knocked off and he's just going nuts is, I don't know, I find that way more fascinating than Superman having the perfect control that he does.
If you like Cyclops, I recommend you watch X-Men 97. They brought the original animated series from the 90s back, championed by Bo DeMeo, who's the showrunner. He really has a love for the X-Men characters, and he did a great job with Cyclops.
You sold me. I haven't heard anyone really pitch that show to me.
Well,
but I think Cyclops is a character that got labeled with the lame crew. He's actually a good character. He just got pissed on by Wolverine in the movies, and people never look back.
He's good in 97.
Yeah.
There is one episode I didn't like, and that was Gambit being cooked by an old man.
All I heard was Magneto's fucking rogue, and then that's pretty much the talk of 97.
It's worse because she's fucking him for a while. Like they're having private training sessions and everything. And then Gambit, he goes, marry me. Magneto says to Rogue, marry me. And Gambit is sitting there on the fireplace, throwing his fucking cards into the fire. Just going, fuck it. This is over. And she basically says to him, oh, you just don't get me hot, Remy. And it's like, and I was like, oh my God, you've killed him. You've killed him in mind, body, and soul and everything.
He's done. Yeah, their dynamic, their flirting was actually really enjoyable in the cartoons. And if they've nerfed that, then that sucks.
The rest of it's good. Cyclops is like a Chad.
Tay says, cheers, y'all. How's everyone on the panel doing? Really wish this Superman movie was just a simple movie focusing on Clark, Lois, and Lex. Yeah, that's what Pierre Chan's recut trailer kind of does, is it refocuses the movie on fewer characters than the million they show in the real trailer.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, from the trailer, it looks like Metamorpho is being put in the prison with Superman, and he's going to make UV light to power him up. So it'll have to be a smart reason to put the guy who can make light in the room with the guy who absorbs light.
How do people? This is selective hearing at its finest again. I didn't.
Let me read this.
So yeah, go ahead.
Shaker Silver says, Brooks, you forever made an enemy of me, saying Snyder got Superman. Clark was raised as a normal guy. Snyder didn't get that and made him unfeeling.
I didn't say that. This is what I'm saying. It's just this is the day of it's just being a YouTuber. You just have to answer shit you didn't say. Snyder understood the stoicism that is required for Superman. It's one of the only things about the character he understood. Everything else was shit. I never said that he got Superman. I said he understood stoicism as a part of it. You can't have him being a little bitch like we have in this corn sweat fucking video. That's all we were saying.
That's true, but he's a little bit too stoic. Like a room full of people blows up, and he goes,
and he's just like,
it's worse than that, Repo. He's a little too stoic. The city of Metropolis gets leveled. Thousands of people are dead, and he cares more about killing Zod than the people that died as a result of his carelessness.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, why is he bothered by those three people? He's like, don't kill them. And then Zack Snyder came out and said he's already killed 5,000 people. Bollocks, it isn't. He's killed like 500,000. But even if it is 5,000, why does Superman care? He just kills people left and right in that fight.
Good God, man. It's like Man of Steel shit. Never liked that movie and never will. Like, I just watched it years ago. It was garbage. I never want anything to do with it. But I don't remember any scene where Superman was whining like a little bitch and Lois is being the man in the room. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. That's all I was saying. Fucking
yeah.
It's
you are right.
Like you said, it's just being a YouTuber today, I think.
Yeah, it's
I will
a part
note
of being
it down,
a
though,
YouTuber.
is the first time ever, I think, on this stream, anyone has ever been accused of being too nice to Zack Snyder. So there is...
Are you crazy?
Really?
I think he's a fucking moron. He's an absolute hack. He's
Guy's an
terrible.
Embarrassment.
But I said, that's it. That one aspect of Superman, he at least had some respect for. He didn't shit the bed on everything.
I saw your tweet, Little Platoon, where Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon had died. They've been cut, and you were glad.
We won.
We did.
We won.
Oh, what a piece of shit movie.
I'm kind of disappointed I'm not going to see a third one. It's because well, first of all, I'd want to review it, of course.
Rebel Moon?
Yeah, Rebel Moon. Yeah.
Well, we've already had 4. We've had the
Yeah, I know.
versions.
Technically, you've had 4.
Yeah, seriously. I'm all
We've
Rebel
got
Moon
Zack
out.
Snyder's Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 2, Zack Snyder's version of Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1, and Zack Snyder's version of Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 2. It's fucking...
Double the grain. That's all I heard.
Yes.
Rebel Moon 3, the unreleased Zack Snyder version.
Did the Anthony Hopkins robot do anything? Because that was the only interesting part of the beginning of that
He
movie.
No.
pushed some tanks,
Yeah.
I think.
He's slightly more important in the extended versions, and yet in Part 2, he is just an unstoppable killing machine. Which is funny because you see a cutscene in slow motion earlier, where in slow motion you clearly see that they die really easily when they get shot, but Zack Snyder forgot. So, yeah.
Nick Tomato says Frank Castle and Daredevil on the roof is best ever.
True.
Yeah, it's one of the best superhero scenes ever made.
Yep. Dial Up says, please let's never forget a young James Gunn's breakthrough role as Dr. Flem Hawking in the Toxic Avenger 4 Citizen Toxie. Amazingly bad movie. I remember those movies. I can't I can't tell them apart, but I remember them. Yeah, it does sound like one, doesn't it?
Didn't
go ahead.
Axel Braun, he commented on a Superman video, and he said, "My costumes don't look this bad," and he makes porn parodies of Superman.
Tay says, hoping the film does somewhat well. DC needs a win. Yeah, I want it to be good, which is what I kept telling myself as I was watching this trailer. Is man, I don't know, but I hope it's good. Nick Tomato again says Frank was a pastor first. See, his dad was, but he couldn't find in himself forgiveness. Meanwhile, Daredevil is a devout Christian dressed as a devil. You see.
Who's a soldier? Wait, Frank Castle was a pastor?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was a soldier. Oh, what are you talking about here?
But did the chat say that his dad was a pastor?
Did
his dad was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Lance says Ironheart is the perfect avatar for Black America, an imposition on the story of the world, stealing the legacy and accomplishments of better white men.
I'm probably gonna have to disavow that one.
Damn, Lance.
This is why you don't talk about sinners. As we said before, the white guilt from the theater is spilling onto the online. It's getting everywhere.
It's getting all over the place.
Everyone's getting tense.
Nick Tomatoes again says Frank Castiogel is not a hero. He is actually the bad guy.
Is that a different character than Frank Castle?
No, that's
what are we talking about?
Frank Castle. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's a bit more complicated than that, sir, but I guess.
Eurodoc says Ironheart. If you want to discourage girls from entering STEM fields, make scientific proficiency an innate godlike superpower rather than something obtainable through honest hard work, dedication, and guided mentorship.
Yeah.
That's
compare Legally Blonde to fucking Ironheart. You know what I mean? The bitch actually went to go get her fucking, her proper bar exam, and it's just that's been lost. That's part of the reason it's such a memorable movie, even like for guys and girls, because everybody can relate to working hard and achieving a goal, but not with these MCU girl bosses.
Don't you see? They're already great. You just don't recognize their power.
That's the hero's journey. But it's embarrassing. Captain Marvel from the beginning. And all the way to Riri Williams and everyone in between, they're perfect from the beginning, and everyone else just has to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Steel Manning says there's already a great Superman, Captain America. He was a perfect proof of concept that this sort of nostalgic Americana character can be embraced. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the great line in the Avengers film that everyone's going to need a little bit of the old-fashioned right about now because of what's about to come. Like it's good old-fashioned values. And the great thing about Captain America is that though he's called Captain America, those values are kind of universal at the same time. And the rest of the world didn't have much of a problem with those universal values being embodied in a character called Captain America. It took fucking Anthony Mackie to have a problem with that.
Idiot. That quote is going to haunt him forever. It's so stupid.
Well, he said it, so as it should then. Steel Manning also says, so appropriate they named Ironheart Riri.
Yeah, I mean, not only is she copying the legacy of Iron Man, but there's a porno called Ironheart in Japan. And yeah, and it's about a Japanese woman who has a suit of armor. She's called Ironheart. She fights bad guys and has sex on the side.
Oh,
That sounds more fun.
Yeah,
It
way
does.
better.
at least now I know where to go to get B-roll for my Ironheart review, so that'll be good.
Why didn't they call her Fifi, as in the periodic table?
Mm.
There you go.
Oh, see what you did there.
Just as terrible.
Mhm.
It's an awful name,
Riri.
but it's a shit pun.
Yeah, everything about her shit. Like we've been talking about her for what, since Wakanda Forever. There's nothing to say. She's crap.
This coded language is really triggering me.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh geez, that guy, whoever that dude was, he's probably freaking out right now. I didn't mean to mention Riri. Sorry.
$50 super chat just came in, so it skips the line. Thank you very much. Sonny Close says, if you could force a specific director to make a specific movie, who and what would you choose?
Ooh.
How'd you
That's
force
a
him?
good one. Yeah, of course, that's your question.
Is he just resentfully writing your script?
It is funny that my mind immediately went to who do I want to punish the most, as opposed to which director do I want to see make a
I
good
was
film.
thinking, like, how do I force them? Do I whip them? Do I push their head against the paper?
I want to force J.J. Abrams to make any movie that has a point.
Yeah.
Oh,
Make Ryan Johnson remake TLJ. Do it right this time, you fuck. Like,
I
shit.
want it in a classroom. I'm the teacher at the desk, and he's there at the back, and he can't leave until he gives me a good script.
I think Del Toro doing Gargoyles would be kind of cool.
I want Paul Thomas Anderson to make a Spider-Man movie, like a one-shot Spider-Man movie.
Wouldn't that look weird?
Yeah, that'd look really weird, but it'd look amazing too. 'Cause all of his movies they're stunning.
I'd like to see Robert Eggers do a Doctor Strange movie.
That would be.
Well, the Doctor Strange that we have in the MCU, or like taking his character seriously, because
He's take his character seriously, of course.
He's a complete joke right now. Yeah.
Probably get Christopher Nolan with a good editor, because he needs to trim down his movies. I'd make him make something weird like One Punch Man. Some Japanese manga. A Berserk movie would be good.
Oh, Dan and Dave in their prime before they lost their minds. I think they could have done good work with Berserk, with like a George R. Martin-esque helping them. But that's what it would have needed. It's one of the rare dark fantasy animes that could actually work on screen if they do it right.
How do you do the Black Sun?
How do you cast Guts? Like, how do you cast him? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, he's got to be as big as the mountain, but charismatic.
And like, yeah, and lean. Like, yeah, I don't know how you're gonna cast that and have it be believable. That dude is one of the most overpowered humans like ever.
Thank you for that $50 super chat. Very kind of you. Hemorrhoid Hurt says, what wasn't shit? 3 seasons of the Deadwood TV show. I never saw
I
Deadwood.
have not seen Deadwood.
No.
Yeah, great show. Ian McShane, Brad Dourif, and I think Timothy Oliphant. Terrific.
Oh, I know about the show now that you say Timothy Oliphant. Maybe I really like him. I'll have to go watch it.
Isn't Timothy Oliphant in Justified?
He is as well, yeah.
I thought it was the same show because it's another cowboy show, but it's more modern.
Oh, that's what I was confusing that with too.
Yeah.
Justified, yeah. Case the Ace 128. I think we all agree that the therapy session scenes in The Sopranos worked great in that show. Why do therapy scenes in modern shows not work today?
Well, he has an actual reason to go to the therapist. Like he's having constant panic attacks. He's fainting. He can't do his job as a mob boss. So there's an actual logical reason then for him to do it. And it's also a great way for him to explore his opinions and his psyche. Plus, the dialogue's just amazing. Like,
the
he's sitting there
dialogue.
and he just sits there and goes, so after all this fucking crying and complaining, is this it? Is this just therapy?
It's just there's more to say. He's just a way more interesting character. There's a hard juxtaposition between his real life and like his reflections on his real life. There's the tension between himself and the therapist. There is so much more going on, and it's not just there in a bid to essentially make a boring man cry.
Yeah. Well, he tries to. It also conflicts with his mob life because she says to him, "Who cares if you're one of your captains is gay?" And he tries not to kill him, but then the realities of the mob life forces his hand, which puts him in conflict with the New York crew. So as you said, it interweaves and there's many dynamics going on.
Yeah, when you have characters that developed, you can have them doing almost anything. I used to say that about Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad in its prime, like
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
The gay porno.
That is the gay one, yeah.
No, you can have Walt like
Come
doing
here,
pretty
Brad.
much anything. No, don't get that in my head. He can be making a sandwich, and Bryan Cranston would find a way to make it interesting. Such a good actor and such a fleshed out character. That's where scenes like therapy scenes are actually effective because we know their whole history.
Jonathan Seibert asks you, Platoon, who's your favorite composer?
Ooh. Well, for the movies, it's John Williams. There isn't really much competition there. Generally, it's going to be like really, really conventional. Probably Bach.
I thought you were going to say Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, yeah.
Not familiar with that many, but Ramin Djawadi, who did the Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon stuff. He's really
that was a good one.
He's fucking good.
Oh, such good music. So such a terrible scene.
I know. Oh, the long night. That's the only thing that worked was the music, and I think that's what glossed every. Like I remember every cell in my body was aligned for that moment. It was because of the music. I was so sucked in, but then it's just like, yeah, worst scene ever.
I just love it when you're watching Game of Thrones and Arya kills the Ice King, whoever his name is, and everyone just goes, "No!"
Oh, God. Just the reactions and all this shit for that. It's not even. Move on. Don't even get me started about this.
Yeah.
I'm upset again.
Another hour.
Yeah.
Dragon Balls D says Chris Rock really missed an opportunity. Keep your wife's name out of my mouth. Tell that to half the men in Hollywood. Yeah. God. Again, my child says, here's more money and a confession. I can't stand Star Wars. I never liked it. I'm sorry. I'd rather watch Dune, Star Trek, Ghost in the Shell, Dread.
You're their own.
I mean, I'd like to say fair enough, but I fundamentally disagree. You should go home and rethink your life. But otherwise, there's some good choices there.
Grassroots Hegemon gifted 5 little platoon memberships.
Thank you.
Andrew Valdez says, according to Disney, Tony Gilroy is a failure. According to them, his show was a massive failure. Unfortunately, Filoni is the one who has been a success.
Hasn't every Star Wars show been a failure?
Pretty much.
They've been getting diminishing returns.
After Mando season 1, which did really well, season 2, which did quite well, season 3 did not do well, Ahsoka didn't do well, The Acolyte didn't do well, Skeleton Crew didn't do well, Kenobi didn't do well.
That was the thing.
Yeah, I almost do as well, because it's funny because Skeleton Crew is probably of that list one of the better ones, and it did not do very well.
It's the only one I didn't watch. Yeah.
There's different metrics to judge it by. Like there is some, like I think it's Para Analytics did a thing saying like you can work out or attempt to work out how much subscriber revenue is driven by shows, which places Andor above Ahsoka, for example, in the sense that it drove more subscriptions. But those figures are always very dicey because it's a lot of kind of just joining random dots together kind of thing. But the problem with Disney Star Wars is that all of it's been a failure. At least Andor has quality underlying it, which is recognized by, I would say, a growing number of people, in a way that a growing number of people recognize that everything Filoni puts out is shit. It's just that they'll learn the lesson too late.
Well, from what I'm hearing, we've had 2 good seasons of Andor. We haven't had 1 good season of anything else. If they can't really realize that, if there's no standards for quality at Disney, it's just, what can you even do at this point?
But it's Dave Filoni going, all my stuff is shit, and everything Tony Gilroy made is great. Fuck off, Tony Gilroy. I'm in charge now. That's basically his plan. Because you don't want someone. It's like being an ugly woman. You don't want an attractive one next to you. You
Hell
look
no.
worse.
Hell no.
Grassroots Hegemon also came back in with 10 more Little Platoon memberships.
Thank you, times 10.
And he also came in again with 10 more.
Thank you, times 10 again.
Yes. Big T says Gendy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars is better than Dave Filoni's Clone Wars.
That's probably yes.
No, it really is. What's remarkable is that there's barely any dialogue in Gendy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, and yet I think he does a better job of representing who the Jedi are, what they represent, and the full capabilities of their powers in that series. I recommend it.
And Grievous is an actual threat.
Absolutely.
There's like 10 Jedi trying to stop him, and he can't. Like, that's how he gets the lightsabers. And it's only Mace Windu who, Mace Windu crushes his chest, which is why he coughs.
Mace is an absolute beast in that as well. He has some phenomenal set pieces.
Well, it's him, it's Yoda, and then Mace Windu, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi in terms of power.
Absolutely.
But Obi-Wan's more defensive, so he's kind of awkward with Mace Windu because his, style 3, it's all defense, Obi-Wan Kenobi's, whereas Mace Windu is very aggressive. So it's even debatable who's stronger.
He's one of the most wasted parts of the prequels for me. Like, they really didn't do anything for him. It's like he was just waiting throughout the whole trilogy just to die to Palpatine. Like, they just had him on ice. And it could have been such an interesting character. And exploring the dynamic between him and Yoda a little bit more. But the Jedi were just kind of botched in the prequels, man. They were so fucking robotic.
Grassroots Hegemon sent in a few super chats. I'll read them in succession here. Totaling $80. So thank you so much. I loved Rogue One when I saw it the first time because I knew where it was going, but it was kind of needed. Andor, where you let bad things happen to characters who are doing their damnedest. I like that in a show.
Well, you're not getting another one. That's the harsh reality.
He also says, I'm so here for it. Give me Jason in New Jersey. Hell again, space again. Do whatever you want. Just whack annoying teenagers. I'm game. Any Jason, just love it for the schlocky 80s cheese it is. I am right there with you. Totally agree.
Did you like the 2013 remake where he's a little bit more mobile?
I thought that was fantastic. He was much more like he was in parts 2 through 4 because he was still human then. He wasn't a zombie yet. Well, human. I mean, he could take a fucking axe to the head.
He wasn't teleporting and just completely unstoppable.
Yeah, he was a running son of a bitch. You know, he's the Usain Bolt of slashers. So
yeah, you get so used to him just walking around teleporting places. Seeing him sprint at some teenagers was actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
What about a film about Jason, but it's just an average day and he's doing cardio, he's doing, push-ups.
Is this how he's showing you his training video? Yeah.
He's got a bunch of cardboard cutouts of teenagers and he stabs them.
Yeah.
Training montage with Jason. We need that.
He also says Bella Ramsey could be cast in Freddy vs. Jason in the final act, part 279. I'd still watch it. I do love seeing a train derail. Yeah.
You know what you do? You say, "Oh my God, someone killed Bella," and she goes, "No, I'm fine." Goes, "Oh, I thought there was something wrong with you."
Potato face. Oh Lord.
He also says horror gets such a bad rap, and for $19 you could film Bella Ramsey playing Jason Voorhees, and I'm game. Remake the last 50 years of horror movies. It'd be the best comedy ever. I'm in.
It's not the last 50 years. It's just that it's like if you have 10 horror movies in a year, you're lucky if 2 of them are good.
Oh, for sure. That's a pretty good ratio. Yeah.
And because they're so cheap, so you get so many of them.
So many, dude.
It's easy to make your money back, but that sort of has this inverse effect on quality because it is so easy. Nobody really tries.
Exactly. Everybody wants to be the next Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch Project, but they don't actually take in what made those effective. And, the ideas are simple, but the execution's everything with horror.
It's also young creators' first movie, very inexperienced directors, because it's the only film they can afford. It's the only thing people will take a chance on because the budget's so low.
Found footage horror it can be really well done, and it's one of the great ways to work around a high budget. It's one of the, that's the goal of mine. I want to write a horror film of some kind one day, and found footage would probably be the way to go. Because as long as you have respect for the concepts and the rules and realistic characters, you know what works in horror, and you have a really tiny budget to work with instead of this crazy Conjuring shit. Yeah.
Blaze Stone says, you don't get Snyder's vision. Is you just don't like mature stories. Sorry, all, you're wrong. Snyder Bros equals Andor is the same as Andor Bros.
How?
I mean, it's comment 1 out of 2, so I'm sure the next one will be less retarded than that. Let's
hang on, let's get it. Episode 1 had good bits, but was boring and couldn't keep me hooked. I tried. Arcane hooked me instantly. The game, amazing movie. Andor, boring. Sorry.
Can you tell me anything other than it's boring? Because if I didn't find it boring, then that comment is useless. That's why you need to actually have references. Because if we didn't feel the same way as you, then what are we really going to do? I didn't find it boring. I wasn't bored. Like, what do you want me to do?
saying something is boring is just as useless as saying something is good without providing examples of why.
And as you said, Niat, like Mission Impossible is bloated. That's very specific. That says there's a lot of unnecessary scenes.
Exactly. Like when someone tells me something is good, if all they have to say about it is, "Oh, it was good, I enjoyed it," it's probably not that good. Probably, you know what I mean? If you can't elaborate on what the quality was, I have a little bit of an issue. And just saying it's boring, it's just like you're just describing your feelings. You're not describing the show.
Yeah.
Wasn't that on Rick and Morty where he tells them this book and he goes, "Did you like it?" He goes, "Yep." "What about it? Did you like it?" "Oh, the whole thing."
I can't say when people can't explain what they liked about something. Like, this should be, I don't know. It just really helps conversations when people can express what they.
Dave's banging against it though. He says, "Oh, piss off with that. It's boring isn't useful. Boring is easy to define. Doesn't catch my interest. Not interested in characters or plot."
Dave, it caught my interest.
No.
So that comment makes
it's not even that. It's that this is the problem with the word boring. The problem with the word boring is that it has two very different meanings. You're saying it is boring. You are saying the thing that you are viewing is boring. And by that definition, you're saying it's boring because it didn't catch my interest. There are two different things you're discussing there. One is the innate quality of the show you're watching. The other is the mindset you're in when you watch it. It's two different things you're describing. I use this example on EFAP. I find maths boring. Maths objectively contains the answers to the most interesting questions in the universe. When I say I find maths boring, I am describing a flaw in myself, not a flaw in maths. If you don't want to watch something because it doesn't catch your interest, that is your interest which is deficient, which is fine. Everyone has that. I get that all the time. But it's not a fault in the thing you're describing. It's a fault in your mindset as you go in to watch it. Not everyone can be interested in everything, and you shouldn't expect them to be. I'm not expecting you to be interested in Andor. I'm simply saying that you can't say it's boring as a reason for it not being, when that answer doesn't actually answer the things you claim that it does. That's all I'm saying.
It doesn't apply to everyone. It doesn't apply to many people who watch it. That's why I just said it simply as like, what can you offer me as an example if I didn't find it boring? What else do you have to work with? That's why you need to actually give references rather than just applying to this one or appealing to this one feeling that you think that everybody shared.
The use of the word boring is an example of media illiteracy. It is a very subjective take. It's not even criticism. If you were to be objective about your take and say, you know, there's no character development, the plot progression doesn't work, there's plot contrivances, plot holes, these things we can work with because these things are universal. But to say something is boring is just, it's not sufficient.
You said media literacy, and I just had a flashback to all those people who say it.
It is. It's not. Yeah,
it helps, man.
It is. Really you are right in the application, but everyone uses that word wrong, and I just had a flashback.
But I mean, to the point about liking and not liking characters being the exact equivalent, you're right in the sense that if I simply said it's good because I liked the characters, but I can't tell you anything about the characters, that would be the equivalent. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I like the characters because I understand what the characters are. I'm following the storylines. The storylines are like loads of shit happens. The characters are incredibly well drawn. All the relationships are incredibly well drawn. It's got dramatic pitfalls and rises. All of this stuff objectively exists in the show. That's not the same thing as me saying I like the character. Lots of people might say, like the Book of Boba Fett, I liked it because I like Boba Fett, but they're not telling you anything about the show. They're telling you something which is a half-formed opinion. They like the memory of the character in that situation. That's a subjective statement, which you're allowed to make. You're also allowed to make subjective statements. But I'm not interested necessarily in your subjective statement. I'm more interested in, can you tell me what's happening in the thing you're describing? Does the thing you're describing actually comport with what you say it is? Because the majority of the times when I've had these conversations with people who say Andor is boring, it doesn't. They can't tell you what's happening because they haven't engaged with what's happening. And again, fine if you don't have time or the inclination to do that. That's absolutely fine. But then that's not a criticism of the show, in the same way that I wouldn't review a book if I'd only read the first page. So, yeah.
Exactly. Andor has some of the best action scenes I've seen in Star Wars in years. You're trying to convince me that I found it boring. It's ridiculous. And there's plenty of things that are well written, well constructed that I consider boring. It's just not for me. But I can still admit that they're well constructed. You're telling me that Andor is bad because you found it boring. It's pointless to me. We need to have the proper references so we can talk to each other like humans. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, as you said, it's boring usually has a knock on. You usually explain why it's boring because you understand what's going on. Like The Last of Us is boring.
Yes.
But you can explain why. You can describe why.
Yeah. I can understand everything, and I can sum the plot up 6 hours in a paragraph. That's how little has gone on. Yeah. Whereas if you're just saying Andor, it's boring, and then you give nothing else, then you haven't really watched it.
You give us nothing to work with, really, especially if we weren't bored, and there's plenty of references to counter that you're not providing.
I do apologize if I sound like it's at all that semi-passionate on the subject, but there is a degree of like this modern Star Wars is kind of the way it is because this is the level of engagement people give it. Like you get what you're given, and you get kind of what you deserve. If you're not able to actually look at Star Wars as a vehicle for brilliant storytelling anymore because you're not willing to engage with it, then you do kind of deserve Ahsoka, sorry to say. I still think that the galaxy is an incredibly wonderful place to explore, and Andor did a great job exploring it. If it's not for you, that is fine, but it's not necessarily a problem with the show.
And that was you venting, just real quickly, that was you venting years of people saying that Andor is boring without actually qualifying their statements. It just gets it gets boring after a while listening to people call Andor boring. Like, just actually give me something to work with there.
Well, I couldn't get into Penguin, but I acknowledge it's a well-made show. The acting's great. The characters, it's just it was something I couldn't get into because I thought the mob stuff was a bit weak.
Yeah, and that's your
denigrating the show,
take, right? It's saying you can still acknowledge that the show is good, but that was something that stood out to you that ruined your immersion. That's a conversation right there. It's the why, and the other things. Maybe it's a specific thing that you want within your stories, and you've watched many mob stories in the past that have done it better. There could be many reasons, but just saying it's boring, full stop, it just doesn't do much.
Yeah, like going, Colin Farrell's boring. He objectively isn't.
Thank you. That you're just lying. That performance.
Boring is the beginning, and then you explain it. It's the subtitle, and then you go into why it's boring. Like Last of Us, nothing's happened, no character dynamic. They're both identical. There's no growth. There's no. Ellie is being on a revenge mission and barely got revenge for 6 hours. Like the apocalypse is terrible. The world building shit. Somehow, a bunch of people with bows and arrows are winning against people with machine guns. No.
Well,
that was worth it. Was that even a stupid chat?
Yeah, he got his money's worth on that one.
No, he didn't. No,
he didn't get.
No, Dave, we love you, man. I know you're here every week, and we really appreciate you. I know it sucks you have to type your responses out, and everyone else can chime in at will. But
see, Dave knows how to game the system. He gets the most time with no money. He's a genius.
Brilliant.
Dave is a genius.
Brilliant, man.
It's the incentive structure now. The answer to get the most of your money is just piss off one of the hosts, and then you'll get so much of it.
Because I could tell too by the way you were saying that, I'm like, this has been years and years of pent up frustration of listening to Andor become boring, and I feel the same way. I'm very against that as like just a qualifier for an entire story. Like we're talking about 2 seasons of television here. Let's.
There's also only so many times you can say it's absolutely fine if you're not interested before like you get bored of even saying that. It is fine if you're not interested in the show. And I've said that repeatedly. So it's not an attempt at a personal attack on you. It's simply saying like you've got the beginning of a criticism, but I do want to hear more.
See, the problem is Dave works because he was the only one doing it. Supply and demand.
Got him.
If you have too many bad takes, we won't be interested.
Shaker Silver says, I heard someone say the appeal of the law shouldn't make sense because she's an illegal and I wanted to die, as if the Empire is expected to violate illegals.
Oh yeah, that was the undocumented thing, right? Which is like, I don't know, I think I had criticisms of the use of like, it is dangerous when you use like real world hot button political topics in a show. But again, missing the point. Lots of people are very keen to see culture war stuff where it doesn't necessarily exist.
Steel Manning says, I used to like Snyder, but you guys convinced me. Well, you're welcome.
What about Rebel Moon? What did we do? We just watched that movie.
Rebel Moon will do it just as well as we will, but
It's like a baptism with Snyder fans. Do you accept that his films are terrible? I do. And you dunk them.
You've taken your first steps into a wider world.
Yeah.
Here's a box set of Silence of the Lambs. Go, my son.
Dragon Balls D says, does Bella Ramsey like heavy metal? Would be great if she did a collaboration so they could call it System of a Down Syndrome. I'll see myself now.
Lord.
Oh,
That's roasted. I can't think of an actress that people are more comfortable roasting than Bella Ramsey.
true,
No one
man.
gives a shit. There's just no like, just mask off
But-
with this chick. I don't know. I don't hate her
It's
that
as
much.
we said, there's nothing else in the show but zoom ups of her face. Imagine 8 hours of just her face. That's the show.
Yeah, they could do her a better service with the zoom ups. I don't know why they keep doing that from the
Zoom out.
jujitsu scene. I don't know why they did that from the beginning.
Funny,
Zoom right
everyone's
in the
close. Every scene she's in, she's just in the background a mile away, having to shout orders, going, hello.
No, they missed the mark on that character in that show. So who knows what they're gonna do.
Ministry of Dinosaurs says, wait, The Last of Us has lesbians engage in intercourse with someone carrying a dangerous, contagious disease. Didn't the gays patent that in the 80s?
It's slightly worse than that, even though, because right, let's say I literally like 5 minutes after I'm pregnant, it's just like, yeah, and I've been bitten by zombies. Let's have sex. It's just like it's worse than just having sex with someone who might be infected. It's also like you're pregnant. What are you doing?
Ugh.
Steel Manning also says, there's already an evil Superman, Dark Side.
No, it's
Yeah.
Kind of.
Ultraman.
But not really. Darkseid and Superman like share some surface level similarities, but they're fundamentally different in origin, ideology, and purpose.
Isn't he like 1 billion years old or something?
He's a god.
Yeah, he's a god. Bizarro would probably be the best example
Well,
of
he's
an evil
not as
Superman.
evil. He's no. You want the crime, the Justice League, but the crime alternate version. What's
Oh,
it
is
called?
it like
Ultraman?
Ultraman?
That's evil Superman. Bizarro's
Omni-Man,
like retarded.
Omni-Man and Homelander fit the bill for that pretty well. So
Yeah,
a few of them.
but in the DC continuity, it's Ultraman.
Hmm.
And then you have Owlman as Batman's.
Owlman?
Yeah,
Yep.
he's like nihilistic. He just wants to kill everything because he's like, oh, there's no point in anything.
Is he dressed up like an owl, or what are we doing here?
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah,
much.
he is. They're
Oh,
called
man.
instead of the Justice League, they're called the Crime Syndicate of America.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Lex is actually the hero.
Yep.
Ministry of Dinosaurs says, can you name one of your favorite time waster games? Just name all the MCU TV shows. Hint, there are 12. Oh, Jesus.
Wait, shows or games?
Yeah,
I think the game is name all of the MCU TV shows. I think
Oh.
as a time waster game because we've not actually spent that much time on this stream.
play
So
one of
far. We need to waste
The
some
dream
more.
isn't overboard or anything.
Fucking what is it? Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Secret
Wanda.
Invasion,
Miss Marvel.
WandaVision, Ms. Marvel, Echo,
Echo,
6.
Daredevil, Born Again,
Falcon.
Yep.
Falcon
Falcon
and the Winter Soldier,
WandaVision.
I think
Already
we've done
said
that
that.
one.
Yeah, that's that one.
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. Yeah,
Yeah,
have we done Ms. Marvel?
Miss.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, did we?
Within Miss Marvel.
There are 9 or 10.
12. Who the fuck
12.
made all these
Are we
shows?
including Daredevil? Is that
Punisher?
Yeah.
No, Punisher is not Disney.
Oh,
Agatha
Daredevil.
all along. Yes, thank you, chat. Agatha's
Agatha.
Oh
coming
my
in for the
god.
save. And Loki
Loki 1
season
and
1 and
2.
2. We've done
There
it,
we
I
go.
think. That's 12.
Yeah, that was actually worth the while.
Ugh.
What a trip through memory lane. It was all shit. Did you enjoy any of that? Just
Yeah, if you were the accountant for Disney, you go, you've given me 12 piles of shit.
like what?
I think we
Like,
forgot
can you-
Secret Invasion.
Can you imagine?
Secret Invasion.
I thought I said that one.
Yeah, we said
Oh,
that one
did
for
you?
sure.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine HBO having 12 garbage shows in a row, or like some real company? Like only Disney can get away with this shit.
Yeah, TV
Um,
shows have been an absolute waste of time, resources, and energy. It's even hurt the movies.
100%.
Oh,
Because
it
it's made
absolutely
people
has, yeah.
it's made people not want to bother to watch the movies because they think they have to watch 12 shows. But if you watch the 12 shows, it'll make you more confused for the fucking movies. So it's a whole clusterfuck. Nobody knows what's going on, and everyone's just burnt out.
Mega Spidey Man says, Reaper, please say don't steal. It's bad. It'll upset your mom and dad.
Is that off Sutton? Don't steal. It's bad. It'll upset your mum and dad.
There you go. Nailed it.
Stealing is where people I'm from do. So there's a little for outside the UK. That's the stereotype.
Blaze Stone says, my point was not Andor is bad. It was Andor bros have the same condescending attitude as Snyder bros. It was well made, but nothing hooked me.
You're gonna have to describe how it's condescending. Andor fans push Andor because it's quality. Snyder fans were obsessed with Snyder fans, but we could never reference why they were quality. There's a difference. Like it's just a worthless comparison. It's crap. You need to come up with something better.
Next, Snyder
Yeah, but
bros
this-
were protecting something that was straight ass. So
Yeah.
The superiority is like elves. They deserve to be, snide because they have something good. It's like saying I have 120 IQ. You gotta rub it in people's faces.
Haven't you spent the last like 74 hours talking about how Andor is fantastic on EFAP?
Yep.
Like there's so much, like that's why you have no comment. It's just exhausting. Like there's so many references. It's not just Andor good, fucking rest of Star Wars bad. Like there's reasoning, there's logic. The Snyder fans didn't have any of that. So how do you compare those two things? I reject that.
Well, no, it's just the tone of voice at this point because only a tone of voice. If anyone uses the same tone of voice, it means one thing is the same as the other. I don't even fucking know, but yeah.
Yeah, context.
At the risk of repeating myself.
Yeah.
Dragon Balls D says, pouring one out for Dave. COVID took his taste.
Poor Dave.
We love you though, Dave. Hope to see you. That would be a shame if he didn't return next week. Dave is he lights up our chat.
He
so-
does.
No, Dave's everywhere. I will never. It's never about the commenter. I'm sure you're a good dude, Dave. I've seen you all over, but it's your comments. We're addressing strictly how we feel about boring as a criticism and/or discussion. Like, don't take any of that personally.
I
I'm
like
sure
it because it means that basically we can't ever be accused of being audience captured, given that we spent like an hour
Attacking
arguing
the audience.
on this stream.
fucking Dave crying in a corner. But it's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But it's
fuck
why I'm
you,
interesting.
Dave.
No matter how much we just pitched, we both of us went. The three of us went like a half an hour on that. It felt like there's still going to be people who take Dave's side on it. I think I see one right now. It's an
Yeah, I
interesting
see a few.
conversation, but I still feel like it should be put out there as to people's the people's feelings on the word boring. It's an interesting combo that should people be more aware of.
Well, this is where Dave takes half the audience with him to his own podcast. And it's a big war between us.
Dave L after dark. Well,
The Dave Cave.
You've achieved quite a bit without spending any money in that super chat. That is
That's
impressive.
very true.
Yeah.
The genius.
There is one final super chat. Old Cranky Gamer says, I rate the actress who plays Ellie a 47 out of 46.
She has an extra chromosome.
You have to explain.
That's a good one.
Oh my god.
Oh man. But can you think of an actress, not actor, but actress specifically, young actress, that more people are just willing to just fucking hammer like this? I have never seen anything like this. Nobody gives a shit.
She said, "I'm not going on social media," and I'm like, "Yes, don't. That is
that's a good idea.
brutal."
Just stay off, man. It's not good for her.
It's fun though.
But Zegler, people are saying Zegler. Nobody roasted Zegler's appearance the way they're roasting Melissa.
Well, until you saw the movie and her jaw was all over the place.
Okay. You've seen all the AI memes with that shit?
I put some in my last video.
Those are so funny, man.
Because like Rachel Zegler at least deserves it, though. I've never seen anything from Bella Ramsey that makes me think, yeah, she deserves a lot of this. It is like the problem is it's just funny. It's really mean, but it's also quite funny.
Every time it happens, I think, man, that's awful, but it's a funny thumbnail. Like I can't complain.
I've called her Mrs. Potato Head like 15 times.
Yeah.
But I just can't. It's like something possesses you, and you must just go, "What an ugly bitch!" for no reason.
It's just like the mob mentality. I've been sucked into it too. Like I don't know, I'm just teasing this child.
I just can't help myself. I have to insult her.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for a lively episode of BSUP, everyone.
Oh yeah.
God damn. We discussed everything. We discussed racism and we attacked
Lord
the audience.
Farquaad.
100% covered everything tonight, man.
Hell of an episode.
Good stuff.
Well, I'll start with you, Jedi Brooks, since you were attacked as well.
Just roasted me in the chat today. Good Lord.
Yeah,
get all my thoughts out. But no, I speaking of The Last of Us, I'm finally finishing up this video. It ended up being way longer than I expected it to be, but pretty decent and extensive. Really going through Ned Stark's journey leading up to his death, all the components in the writing that made it satisfying and enjoyable to continue, and comparing it to Joel and how it just shat the bed, ruined the show, and all the buildup that could have potentially been there was just garbage. I think it's a really interesting comparison. So that'll be out in a few days. And then we'll see from there. Definitely going to get ready. You'll definitely see some more Ironheart stuff. And I want to do a live stream discussing Riri when the time comes right. So before her show comes out, I'll do that for sure.
Yeah, I want to be there for that.
Yeah, so do it up.
Yeah. Reaper, you got anything coming out, man?
Maybe.
Okay.
What a plug.
I think I finished episode 3. I just haven't uploaded it for some reason. I'll upload after the stream, and then I've got to try and catch up because I'm only halfway through the season. So I'll try and do all my Last of Us in one go. But again, that's probably not going to happen because I'm a liar.
I am also a liar.
A filthy, horrible liar.
Yeah. That's okay, though. We still love you. So that's all that matters.
No, it doesn't. Money.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Money is what matters. Commercialism, you bought things.
Money and bitches is all that matters.
I could buy friends and whores and everything.
Niet, thanks so much for joining us. I know it's early your time. I really appreciate you
Soldier.
being here, man.
Soldier.
Yeah.
Oh, my pleasure. Always fun hanging out with you guys. As for me, actually, speaking of Snyder Bros, we're covering Man of Steel on Friday night on Movie Nights with Niet on my channel. It's going to be a bit saucy. Hopefully the Snyder Bros come and attack me. And then FCE Live on Sunday night. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah. And I was on yesterday's episode. It's a good show. You guys should go watch it. Yeah, Sunday nights. Platoon, you got anything coming out?
In theory, yeah. I just need to find some time when I'm not live, which is hard these days, apparently. But yes, the Minecraft thing should be done this week. That's a fucking pointless waste of time, but you should definitely watch it. And then it'll be Thunderbolts, which is almost done as well, I think. And then I do want to do something on Andor, and there isn't really anything else out until whatever the fuck next. So some stuff, yeah, that might get a second channel video. I don't think I can be bothered to do a full one. But yeah, stuff is on the way eventually. Oh, there's a second channel Thunderbolts video. I forgot that released. That's out, so you should check that out.
It is funny how I sound just as busy as you, yet I only make one 10-minute video.
fuck, man? Refresh video. This guy's talking, oh, second channel video. That's as long as the video I'm working on right now, you fuck.
We both go, oh, there's so much. I've got so
Oh,
many things to
God.
do, except one of us is doing things and one of us is playing Doom.
A year's worth of our fucking videos. Jesus Christ. My MCU video is almost 2 hours long. It almost fucking killed me to make that. I don't know how you make those like casually. It's insane.
I wouldn't call it casually,
fucking
but
crazy.
they do get made somehow.
Oh man.
I just
Which one of
released.
us is the worker.
Yes.
I just released my Thunderbolts review too. It's in a compilation titled MCU Phase 5 Sucks Part 2. So you can check that out. And I am releasing a video this week on the worst movie of the year. It's already official here on May the 19th. Hurry Up Tomorrow is the worst movie of the year. And I'm going to drop a review on that
Never even heard
probably
of
by
that.
Friday.
Ooh.
It's fucking terrible. Have you ever heard of the musician The Weeknd?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's his movie that's basically like this self-tell on all of his weird fucking fantasies and just his desire for us to think he's some tortured genius when he's really just a fucking retard.
Yeah, he's pretty like he's from my city. Like, and I still think he's pretty strange, man. Like,
That's the
I
best
don't know.
advertisement for a video.
So that's coming out this week. But chat, you've been fucking fantastic, especially Dave. We love you, Dave. I know you're
Love
not
you,
there
Dave.
anymore. He left.
He fucking sent the
He
packing. Unsubscribe.
Oh, then we will not see Dave anymore, probably, but that's okay. We appreciate everyone. Thanks to everyone who sent in the super chats too. That was like the highest number of super chats I think we've ever gotten. So that's just really amazing of you guys. So thanks to everyone who sticks around for us reading them all too. Really appreciate it. I think it creates like a lively second half of the show every week too. So
Yeah.
It's like a reset of topics, though. That's one of the good things about the super chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I got called a creep twice, and I still don't know why.
I feel like I had to explain my thoughts on racism like 3 times this stream. What's going on? We got a lot out. It's funny how we started talking about racism offline. It just transferred onto the stream and just kept going.
Yeah, right
The
over.
theme stayed.
Well, I just thought, this sounds uncontroversial. Let's hit the live button. Nothing can go wrong.
Our next stream is Schindler's List. Let's see what the topics are.
That should wrap it up for this week, though, guys. We will be back next week, as always, Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. And Platoon, I'll let you take us out of here.
Goodbye.
Bye.